Hello, everyone. It's Wednesday. Welcome back to Alkenstar. I am your GM, Steve, and I'm joined by Rick, Richard, Nina, and Tommy. We are Recall Knowledge, a group of Pathfinder newbies working to go from trained to expert. Say hello, everyone.
Howdy.
It's been many years. I haven't got expert yet. I'm concerned. Also, hi.
Trained.
Okay. You TPK'd, you had to reroll a new character. It's not your fault.
Indeed.
That's why you're here. So, we're happy to have you here with us to journey back to the streets of Alkenstar, the city of smog. Let's just take a minute, go around the table, introduce ourselves, so you can know who we are. I am your GM, Steve, as I said, and I like to put my players in horrible situations and watch them squirm. Follow me at Steve the DM on Twitter, and listen to me sing Foundry's praises day in and day out. Rick, why don't you go ahead and go next?
My name is Ricardo. You can follow me on Twitter at HallowedRPG, as you see down here in the lower third. I retweet a lot of map stuff because I'm kind of a map nerd, and also sing the Foundry and Pathfinder praises, particularly lately.
Big news coming on in the Pathfinder Foundry universe. Nina, why don't you go ahead and take over next?
Hello. My name is Nina. You can follow me at Nina Baptista on Twitter. I post a lot of my Wordle results over there, but recently I've been posting a lot more Pathfinder stuff as well. I'm going to try and do like a Cockney accent, but I can't promise that it'll be perfect.
As long as you try, that's all that matters, right? This is kindergarten?
It's going to probably go like Essex or something. Who knows?
Not me.
I'm tweeting.
All right. Richard, why don't you keep the ball rolling? What was that? What?
Hi, everyone. I'm not the person who was on mute. My name is Richard. You can find me on Twitter at RKRichardRPG, and I'm trying to be more active. I definitely tweeted more this week than last week. I do not do Wordle. I don't know what Wordle is, and I refuse to learn. So yeah, typical, gamer geek who got into Dungeons and Dragons and now has found the love of Pathfinder thanks to Steve and the rest of the group. I will always choose the stupid RP choice over the min-max choice every day of the week. So don't forget to follow me on Twitter, and then also follow Recall Knowledge on Twitter as well to keep up to date with all of us, what we're doing.
All right. And rounding out the rest of the cast, Tommy, the floor is yours.
That's me. My name is Tusks. In other circles on the internet and IRL, I go by Tommy. And I do this thing on YouTube called Black Dragon Gaming, where I do a lot of basically everything that Paizo has put out, from lore to optimization to da-da-da. BDG is doing well enough, and I found an editor after like 3 takes that I'm pretty sure I can get back to the I have so many games that I run for people arc of my life level of content, which I'm incredibly excited for, to speak incredibly frankly. You can follow me at Black Dragon RPGs on Twitter, because when I decided I wanted to make a YouTube channel, I decided I also wanted to be like C+ creative at best, I suppose. I'm definitely looking forward to what's about to happen and how my dice are going to betray the copious amount of time I spent last night literally drawing a web up of, okay, how am I going to figure this out? This character is way smarter than me.
That is impressive. So what you're saying is go to Twitter after the stream and you're going to post your web for the community to read.
And I'll put a big X where this is where the dice said, no, Tommy, you chose
like that
violence.
meme where he's like,
Right at number 1.
the whole fucking thing go.
X out. All right. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, everyone. Up next, we do have some business to get to, so we need to give a big shout out right off the top to our lead sponsor of the night, Molten Hosting.
Yeah, Molten Hosting.
Now, unfortunately, during the week, I actually got a cease and desist order from Molten Hosting, preventing me from actually being able to share any of my awesome creativity in the wake of last week's bit. And you know what? Because of that, I found a loophole. I'm not allowed to talk, but I can have somebody else do the bit. So I am contractually obligated to, at this point, pass the mic over to Nina who's going to be 100% reading her own words and not just what I wrote.
Right. Okay. So, Molten Hosting is a proud sponsor of us here at Recall Knowledge and 100% not suing the show for defamation. While we love Foundry almost as much as we love Steve's GMing,
Thanks.
we always found self-hosting to be a hurdle that none of us wanted to deal with. Molten Hosting solves that problem by putting your server up in the cloud, removing all of the headaches and letting you get right to the action. If a genius like Steve couldn't figure it out, then chances are you wouldn't be able to either. Wait, what? All plans also come with free backups in case you screw something up. You will always be able to restore in minutes. Not that Steve would ever do something like that. He's too perfect.
Oh.
You know what? I'm not reading the stupid words anymore. Go check them out at moltenhosting.com and use the code RECALLKNOWLEDGE, that's one word, at checkout and get your first month of service free. You'll see how easy it is to use firsthand. Steve, you idiot, back to you.
No, Nina, you didn't have
With
to
love.
lay that praise on so thick. I get it. You think I'm amazing. Wait a minute. I wasn't actually listening. You did just end that by saying all kinds of awesome stuff about me, right?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. So moving on. Richard, why don't you go ahead and plug our second sponsor for the night, totally in your own words.
Reread.
Yeah, no, I'm not reading that. Our second sponsor for the night is the Rollsmith.
Will Smith!
Rollsmith.
Rolling.
Why should awesome dice only be allowed at a real table? For real. The Rollsmith has awesome virtual dice that can cover all of your character concepts. From the amazingly detailed dragon dice down to the classic wooden dice sets, you'll find a set that matches what you need. They're the dice we feature on the show, and you'll see them being used here tonight. Check them out at therollsmith.com. See, Steve, not everything has to be a big joke.
No, Richard. You're the real amazing one here, not me. Thank you to the Molten Hosting and to the Rollsmiths for sponsoring tonight's episode and giving my players the space to heap tons of praise onto me completely unprompted.
Thanks, Molten Hosting.
Thank you, Molten Hosting.
Roll with the Molten Host.
Yeah.
Right? All right. Well, also, in case you haven't heard for some reason, there is some really big news going on in the Paizo-verse Foundry sort of overlap. So, Rick, why don't you go ahead and share what the exciting news that happened this week is?
Well, if you haven't heard, Foundry and Paizo announced a partnership with an awesome new product, which is the ability to import premium Adventure Path modules directly into your world, giving everyone a truly next-level experience. These products include custom maps, include the use of foregrounds, backgrounds, layers, tiles, detailed lighting, custom styling for the world, token art for every creature, journal entries linked for every room. It's pretty damn amazing. Sounds by Sirenscape and a whole lot more. First product will be the Beginner's Box, the perfect way to jump in and learn how to play Pathfinder 2e, and launches on April 16th, just in time for the community-run Beginner's Box Day. And shortly after that, Outlaws of Alkenstar kicks off with Punks in a Powder Keg on April 27th. And the month after that, coming out, the hardcover release of Abomination Vaults is our favorite adventure path, the Abomination Vaults.
Yes.
It's an exciting time to be a Pathfinder fan, and the best time to jump over to Foundry right now. In fact, it's already been confirmed that Roll20 does not plan to have Punks in a Powder Keg on release date, and Abomination Vaults still isn't available. So if you're still over there rolling 20s in the past, switch over to the VTT of the future, Foundry VTT.
And thank you, Rick, first of all. Secondly, it goes without saying that we will 100% be playing on this premium version of the module for our playthrough. And from everything I've seen so far, it makes it absolutely the ultimate way to play Pathfinder 2nd Edition, period. And I just want to take a minute and give a special shout out here to the man who put the community on his back and carried us through the past to this moment in time, Fry Guy. His work on the PDF to Foundry module allowed so many of us to play so easily, and his recent step back from developing that module is a much-deserved moment for him to rest and recuperate and be able to focus his energies back onto the PF2E system as a whole. In fact, he was kind of checked out, but he made it to the end of those modules, which was Strengths of Thousands and Frozen Flame, just to make sure that there was not a content gap in the community. So big thank you, Fry Guy, for that. You are awesome. Everyone in the community owes you a huge debt.
Thank you, Fry Guy.
Thank you.
Thanks,
We're
Fry.
going to have to get 10 silver before we can pay anyone any debts.
That is true.
Yep. All right. Well,
Maybe y'all could use that guy Skates subscriber.
that is true.
That
That guy in
guy.
Escape, subscribe with Prime. If you're sitting in our chat and you're sitting on your Prime sub, why not toss it our way, and then maybe we can pay some of these debts that you guys owe to the.
Yeah.
And we won't go to jail.
Yeah.
If you want to call for a TPK all the time and be like that guy, subscribe with Prime.
Yep. Did I do it? Let me see. I put hero points for all of the PCs. Did I put one in? I meant to put one in for the DM so you can give the DM a hero point. I don't think I did.
I don't think
That's probably for the best, TBH, thinking about
So,
it in hindsight.
interesting. Well, maybe our viewers want you to TPK, right? So I'll say this, right? For every single follower, sub, donation, bit, at all tonight, I'll just take a hero point. Does that seem legit?
Yes.
All right, have a good game, guys. I gotta go do something.
I can't
y'all.
wait to introduce you to my next character. I just made up for no reason.
Well, it's time. It's time. So viewers,
What time is it?
it's time to rhyme? I don't know. What time is it?
God!
I don't want to say it. No, I don't
Don't
want to
say
say it. It's definitely
Don't
not
say it.
high noon.
It's 11:59 a.m. forever.
It's late noon?
It's early afternoon. So
It's
viewers,
5
go
o'clock
ahead,
somewhere.
sit back, relax, check the time. Players, let's jump back into our adventure. Episode 2 of Birth of the Outlaws in Alkenstar Adventure. Our series continues now. The camera fades in, a close-up of a halfling woman's face taking up the whole screen. We can see some scars on her face. A lifetime of adventure written for all to see. Her years getting up there. Her hair is obscured by a wide-brimmed cowboy hat that hangs partially over her eyes. We hear her voice speak, with the shot tight on her eyes. Ah, is it playtime? The camera cuts and shows a tense scene. We are in a rundown brothel. Nice once upon a time, but the decade of neglect shows on its broken floorboards and torn rugs. The workers have all ducked beneath the tables and chairs, looking for cover from the inevitable showdown. A large orcish woman, the madam, rolls her eyes and mutters something about children as she meanders over towards the bar. The barkeep, standing safely behind the counter, yells at the bounty hunters to get out before I call the shield marshals. The camera lingers for a moment on our group of future outlaws. We see Reficule, eye patch clung tightly to his face, gun at the hip, locking eyes with the halfling and the bounty. By his side is Saruk, eyes narrowed on the man they have been searching for, Aldo Stubb, bound and gagged. Behind the two, just stumbling through the door, is a woman decked out in gadgets and goggles, Anita, followed closely by her walking robot, Wybert. And a pale-looking fellow, getting up there in years himself, takes a long drag on his cigarette as he throws his poncho out of the way. Across the room, we see a thick-armed man currently cracking his knuckles. We see he's wearing thick metal gloves, dented and covered in blood. And behind him, right in front of the halfling woman you know as Ruthie, we see a husky-like dog baring its teeth and barking in your direction. Ruthie simply smiles, letting the moment hang in the air for a little while. Well, ain't this a happy family? Saruk.
Saruk steps forward.
Yeah, and she calls your name, right? She says, Saruk, is that you, honey? Recognize the description. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
And you are...
You can call me Ruthie.
Sure. Ruthie, if this needs to go to violence, this can go to violence. I don't think I have the ability to talk you out of it. We come from, I nod towards Baldo, a former partner of his. Before this goes anywhere else, can I ask for a few minutes alone to talk with him? Carry words before, well, you know, the inevitability of the law. If not, and then I just kind of, like, I don't turn my body at all away from this person, but I, like, elbow comes, points towards Refi.
And I just, with my one eye locked onto hers, I wink at her.
Mm-hmm. She smiles as she looks back towards Aldo. Sorry, bounty's claimed. You know how it works. You don't mess with another hunter's payday. You had your shot. You were too slow.
I'm not trying to mess with your payday. Simply, how do I put this for you? A moment of kindness for someone? You can understand, right?
She looks down, and the dog right at her knees is baring his teeth. And you see the man, like, standing at the bottom of the staircase, you know, just flexing a little bit. Like, eyes hard on, Ruffycool's looking there trying to look pretty menacing. This dude's staring right back with, like, bloodlust in his eyes. No, I don't think that's how this is going to go. Tell you what. She, like, strokes her chin just a minute. How about you lot stand down? I'll turn the mark in. I'll buy everyone a drink. Offer you some career advice. Win-win for everyone, right?
I have a career, and your terms are unacceptable. I step forward and hand goes down to where the mace is.
Her eyebrow goes up, and there's like this moment that like hangs in the air, almost like the tension is so thick you can cut it with a knife. And basically, like, in that moment, you see the man, been very stoic to this point. He lets a little smile out as he sort of makes a, like, aggressive maneuver to run at you guys. And we're going to roll initiative, y'all.
Remember that part where we said big X over the entire chart?
Yeah. Didn't work.
What was
Here I go,
happening? I heard
peeling
the
the-
whistle.
You hear the whistle followed by a bunch of gunshots.
All right, so we didn't get to see this very much last week. Let's switch over to the battle screen. Woo!
Ba-da-ba-boom.
Yeah, she's old school. She's not being talked down out of her bounty. Let's go ahead and get you guys on the initiative tracker. Yeah.
Ooh.
So this is you guys on the bottom floor of this tavern known as the Iron Bells. You know, you guys have kind of standing near the front door. There's a barkeep. This woman is backed up a little bit. And you see like random patrons kind of ducking for cover around. They're positioned at the staircase that kind of leads up to the second story where they've just come down from. So there is like a whole second story above you guys. You guys can go ahead and add yourself to the initiative tracker, and I will roll initiative for the NPCs. Ooh, I see a natural 20. You know what that means? Crits in chat for the GM.
Did I roll? Oh, I guess I did.
I rolled pretty terribly.
Anita and Saruk, I don't see you guys within. Did you guys roll?
Okay. The one on the carousel
just
isn't
got
working
me.
yet.
Got it.
Oh, wild. Let me.
That's a 16 for Refugule.
Oh, 10
Okay.
for Annie.
10 for Ani. All right.
It just gave me the option to roll in the not carousel.
Yeah, I don't think the carousel rolling initiative necessarily works. Okay, not bad. 19.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you definitely got to pursue a lead in this situation. Your lead's right in front of you, right? All right. Well, in the story, you know, this guy, Sansi, you guys don't know his name, his name is Sansi. He was the first to make the reaction, and with his natural 20, he is indeed the first to react. So, speed. Oh, okay, wait. You rolled initiative. Refi, would you like to take your 10-foot step?
Isn't it on my turn?
I don't know, is it?
Yes, on my turn I get a free action to use a 10-foot step.
So, okay, so it's not when you
First
roll
turn.
initiative, it's on your first turn of combat?
Right.
Okay. Awesome. So, actually a little, like, it's probably bad he's, like, exactly too short. So, first action, like, runs at you guys, like, across, got his knuckles, you know, sort of, like, nice and big. He steps here in front of both Saruk and Rufikul with his second action. And with this third action, he takes his sort of thick gloves, and you watch as he just tries to cold clock Rufikul before you can get your gun out of the holster.
Brawler. Yes.
All right. So, first attack, that's going to be a 19.
19 hits.
All right. You're going to take 4 points of bludgeoning damage.
Alright.
But that is his turn. Saruk.
Okay, so before I do anything on my turn, billion questions.
Of course.
First of all, God, the music sting. I have so many questions. Music. This door down here is the only means of getting out on the first floor. It doesn't look like there are any windows from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, this building is made of like pretty thick metal, like, and it doesn't look like it was built a lot of windows in mind. So on this first floor, that does appear to be the only way in or out that you see.
Sounds good. And then hostiles are the person who just socked Refugule in the jaw, the husky, and behind. Right?
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
all.
Those three seem to be the hostile ones. There's all the other tokens in this room are just people currently cowering. They're not openly acting aggressive to either side, as you can tell. And Aldo is still like bound and gagged. So
Are they
he's-
NPCs or corpses in waiting?
It's
Wow.
important questions to ask before this flash.
That's your
happens.
guys' choice.
But okay, so now that I know who to attack and who not to attack.
Yeah.
I suppose first things first, targeting the person directly in front of me. We're gonna do that thing that my class do, and we're gonna devise a stratagem.
Defies a stratagem. Okay.
I think this macro works. I have literally not
Ooh.
tested it.
It looks like this. So it's a 19 on the dice, which looks like it should be a total of 26 on your
I
strategic.
will take it. So then I'm going to interact to draw my mace in its melee mode, not holding it as if it were a wand, but holding it as if I wanted to hit someone in the side
Yep.
of the head with it. Then I'm going to hit this person in the side of the head with it.
Of course.
So, fun fact for you to make you do a bunch of work. Saruk has a feat that I remember the name of for sure, Takedown Expert. So, unless I definitively think it is a life or death, they would be immune to non-lethal damage, or otherwise my default setting is I am swinging to knock out, not kill.
Right.
Would a 26 hit the person in front of me?
Yep. No, that is an awesome feat you have. So the default for Saruk, is non-lethal attempts of damage. Okay, so 26. That is a crit.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay, so then that shakes out to... Oh, this macro might be... Well, I can turn on device stratagem. What am I saying? Because Foundry is cool. So assuming that math came out right, and it looks like it did, 18 points of non-lethal damage directly to their temple.
Yep. So you have the bludgeoning that's crit damage, and then you also have your precision damage on. So what is your precision damage? Is anytime you use your device, a stratagem?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, 18 points of damage with one swing of your mace. Cracks him upside the head. You watch as his eyes roll back and he crumbles on the ground, like puts his weight into you, Saruk, and then just rolls unconscious on the ground in front of you.
So before I end my turn, I look up at the person I was speaking to. Are you entirely sure you won't let me talk to the man? And I just glare
fucking
past her.
warned ya.
Nice. That's one damn intimidating turn.
That was.
Very cool. Now, okay, and that was all three actions, I believe, right?
Yeah, devise stratagem, then draw a weapon, then
right.
strike.
Now, does your stratagem, is it free because your lead is actively here? Or I think the target has to be...
Yeah.
Yeah, so
if you
the
consider the person who is on the ground, yeah, so then I would theoretically get a free action if I feel the need to brain them, but this one I
Gotcha. In this case, I don't think he's technically your lead, so no. Okay, perfect. All right. Well, that'll bring us up next on the initiative, Halbrent.
I think seeing Saruk completely brain this guy, I'll take the thing out of my mouth and I'll kind of give a side eye to Anita and crack a smile and then put out my cigar and draw my longsword and then move up towards I think I would move up here, and I would like to... I wouldn't draw my sword, I'd draw my gun, my pistol.
Okay.
My coat pistol. And then I'll move up to there, and then I would like to aid Reficule as if I'm going to take a shot towards her. And I'd holler at her and say, this big guy here right next to me is going to do that to your pup. I really, really like dogs. So keep him on that leash. But then I'm going to aid Reficule, and then Reficule starts.
Okay. You're aiding Reficule in, what are you aiding him to do? Attack?
I'm going to feint a gunshot, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so you're helping. Okay. All right.
That's my turn.
Are you planning, so do you want to use, feinting, so it's like a deception sort of roll, not necessarily like an active attack roll? Okay, yep. I will allow it. Okay. Then that brings us to Reficule, who just got clocked moments ago.
Right, so I get clocked, and I look up and just smile at him. And then I just see him get completely fucking brained.
Yes.
And I look over at Saruk and kind of... Not bad, Tusks. And I'm going to take my free step over here.
Uh-huh. There's on one end of the couch, there's this, prostitute hiding, and then you're...
And as I'm stepping to use this woman as cover, I'm going to say, you misunderstand, Ruthie. The moment of kindness was for you. And Reficule's default damage is lethal 100% of the time.
Okay.
I have a free interaction to draw my pistol, and I'm going to take a shot at Ruthie.
Okay, so she's up the staircase. There's definitely people and stuff. She's gonna have lesser cover on this shot, so I'm gonna give her partial. She hasn't taken cover or anything, but she has standard cover from this shot, just because of the positioning. So go ahead and make that attack roll.
Will my deception go off?
Yes. So at this point, you can go ahead and use your reaction to roll that deception for Halbrand, we're looking at a DC 20.
Oh, that's a 13.
Okay, it's not a critical fail. You don't harm in any way, but it doesn't actually aid. So it'll just be a straight shot for a rough kill.
All right.
Ruthie doesn't bite on your feint there, Halbrand.
All right. So I will shoot. Oh, that is an 18.
So it looks like it would have hit, but as it shoots and it blasts the side of the railing on the stairs, and the wood splinters all around, which causes your shot to miss.
All right. I will use my Reconnaissance reload.
Okay.
To reload and then feint that I'm going to shoot her again to create a distraction.
Okay.
So I'm going to make a deception check.
Yep.
Nice.
That's a 20.
Okay. Yeah, no, that is a success for sure. And she is now. What does that give you? Is it flat-footed?
It's no, I'm creating a diversion to pretty much it. Here, I'll put it in chat.
Yeah. Creating a diversion basically means that her attention is taken away from you, right?
Yes, I can hide pretty much.
Yes, you're hidden to her, right, or however that works.
So I reload. Let me do that, and then I'm going to spend my third action to hide behind this woman.
All right, go ahead and make that stealth check. Yep, you become hidden to that creature.
That's a 14.
Okay, you think you're nice and hidden?
Yeah, and that's my turn.
Awesome. That brings us to Anita.
All right, so I'm probably fucking this up, but I would like to hold my turn until after Ruthie's.
Yeah, you want to delay your turn?
Delay. There you go. Thank you. Yes,
For
I'd
sure.
like to
All
delay
right.
my turn after hers.
Anita's delaying her turn temporarily. Up next is Ruthie's dog. Watching Sansi get clocked. The dog barks and runs in. So that's one stride to here. I think one stride kind of comes around this side, and with its third action, it uses its momentum as it runs at you, Saruk, to try to sort of take your legs out from under you. So it's trying to trip you.
Okay.
So this is going to be an athletics check against Saruk's.
Ooh.
It's a 19.
That would succeed.
Succeed, but not a critical success, I imagine.
Mm.
Yep. So success. The target falls and lands prone. No damage or anything. So you can go ahead and you are now prone, Saruk. Whoa! Saruk goes down and is laying down. The dog is sort of swept your feet out from under you. But that was all three actions. And then Ruthie gets to go next. And you said you're holding your action until after Ruthie's turn?
Yeah.
Okay. So seeing the dog, you could jump in here if you wanted. But you're
I
gonna
do
hold.
actually, if I could.
Yeah, you can. You can hold it at the end of
Alright.
anyone's turn. You can hop in. So
Sweet. All right. So for my first action, I am going to command Wyvert to move forward.
Are you spending
Right in
two
front of
actions or
the
one action?
One action, so he gets 2 actions.
That is correct. Okay.
And then he will attack the husky. Wyvert smash. The first roll would be
Oh gosh, that's a natural 20. Wow, you guys
Really
are
good at Pathfinder.
Here we go again.
crits in chat, everyone,
Wyvert.
for Wybert. Wybert crits in chat.
So
Wyvert.
Wyvert would be dealing. Oh, there's not a critical. So just let me. My
Yes, it would be-
apologies. What? Why was the other one a D8 and then this one?
Did you
did-
roll?
I
Single
did-
click sure. You have 2 separate attacks. One is the big one, and one is a smaller.
Yes, that
agile
is
one.
correct.
Oh,
So
okay.
make sure you
Oh, my bad. So
you
Wyvert
can just click that
smash.
critical button in chat up
Yeah,
there. But
there
yeah,
you go.
there we go.
14 still.
Same number.
14
Same
points.
thing.
Of
Same number.
bludgeoning.
Yeah, so unlike Saruk, who trains and has feats for this, Wybert's attacks are lethal, and you immediately hit the dog so hard that the dog goes and falls over and is like,
fuck. Oh bloody hell! No, I did not mean that. I'm sorry. I say Anita says to Ruthie, and so that's Wybert's first action.
Yep. That was technically 2 actions, right? Move
second.
and attack.
Yeah.
So Anita spells more.
Yeah, so Anita would use...
I will say that the dog is dying too, but not dead at this point. It's dying. It's an important enough NPC that I'm not going to make it die, because that's a poor little husky pup that you just smashed.
I know.
Yeah,
Ruthie's last name. Ruthie's last name isn't Wick, is it?
God. Look at all those elite tablets that are just stacking on. Wild. I'm concerned.
And then I would step forward towards Saruk for my second action, and then use my third action. Could I help him up?
Ooh, that's an interesting.
Call an interact action to make me not prone.
Mm-hmm. And I'll use an interact action to get him up.
I would.
Interesting.
If that doesn't feel like enough, I would be willing to use my reaction.
A good point. So let's check a couple of things. You're not holding anything. Your hands are free right now, right?
Nope.
You have free hands.
Just the blood.
Saruk's 7 feet tall. You have a pretty
just
low
shut the fuck up.
range.
I know my mistake.
I will say this:
Piss off.
if you can make an athletics check against his fortitude DC, and because in this case he's going to use his reaction to help, I will give you a circumstance bonus to your roll because he's not resisting, right?
As if I were aiding.
Okay, so 1?
Yes.
Okay.
No. Take. Let's just go with 2. A circumstance bonus of 2 on your athletics check to get him up.
That will be. Come on. 23. Come on, Saruk. I just killed the dog. I'm so fucking sorry.
So with
Saruk just kind of looks at you. There's a look of concern and a look of shock and a look of I didn't think you had it in you. And then
no, it's not me. It's Wybert. It's Wybert. I have to wind him down a little bit. I'm sorry, but get up.
But yeah, there's this moment, right? The hand reaches up, the 2 arms lock in with some kind of deep strength that surprises. It's just this little, girl lifts you to your feet.
See, his original name was Bert. Now you know why we call him Wybert.
That's the end of my turn.
So Ruthie, who at this moment, right, Ruthie potentially would have stood down. She hasn't even gotten her turn yet, and you've taken out every single crony she has, but you just killed her dog.
He's not dead
No,
yet.
we dying toed her dog. Come on.
That is true. You dying toed her dog.
Wybert's gonna die.
In her anger, she's got this crossbow in her hand, and she's just ugh. She drops her crossbow. She goes to her back. She uses an interact action to draw the giant dwarven blunderbuss that's a little too big for her with one action. And you see her fiddling with it, how the shit does this work? And Ruthie Wick points the gun right at, in this case, points it at Saruk. And
disclaimer, here at Recall Knowledge, we love animals and do not advocate violence against animals.
Especially when the DM is about to do splash damage to the animal from the animal's owner.
Yeah, that's the issue, right? Because it would be hit. I was kind of saying it's low enough, it might not get hit, but
that
maybe.
Actually would have hit me if someone wouldn't have picked me up. So excellent.
Yeah, so the ping that picked up makes a difference. The shot misses. So because it misses, the splash damage, there's just a giant spray of pepper, scatter everyone around you. The floorboards get peppered with these little pellets, and it just hits this 10-foot cone around you guys. But nobody takes any damage because she missed and she doesn't really know what she's doing with this sort of weapon. So those draw the weapon, fire, and she's like, "Oh shit!" And then she spends her third action to reload it. That's her turn. Back to the top of the round, not Sansi, who's peacefully sleeping, but Saruk.
Okie doke, second verse, same as the first. Let's have a crumb of devise a stratagem.
Uh-huh. Oh, well, that's another natural 20. So
Damn,
crits
you're
in
really
chat.
good at Pathfinder.
Here's
Yeah.
So here's a fun thing. I'm wielding a weapon with the fatal trait.
Uh-huh.
They are currently in my, oh god, just barely my third range increment. Oh, do I want to? That probably would then result it down to just a hit. But I'm going to interact. Everyone watches Saruk go from wielding this thing like I'm going to hit you with it to just kind of flip the hand, point it at her like it's a wand. There are 3 buttons just under the, like, where the business end of the mace is. I press one. There's a very loud bang, which shakes out to, well, you know, I could just click the thing and roll it. 27 minus, what, 4? Yeah.
Is it 2 per range increment, right?
Yeah, and it's a range increment of 20 feet.
Okay, so with that is definitely a hit, and then because it's a natural 20, it still bumps it up to a crit.
Oh, right,
it's
yes!
A crit even at range, yes.
So again, I'm doing I guess I'm shooting her in the stomach, somewhere where she's not going to bleed out. Oh man, this is going to be... So it's 1d8 plus 1d6 plus 1d8 times 2.
Non-lethal.
So they take only 22 points of non-lethal damage. I could have rolled better, but...
Well, she had 16 hit points, and... So you incapacitate her exactly however it pictured in your head, right? You saw the math, you saw everything going exactly right. She's out for the count, right? You guys have just... Wow. Why don't you describe, Saruk, exactly how you incapacitate Ruthie?
So she draws her very big weapon that it's very clear she does not know how to use, goes to fire. I realize she's pointing presumably like such that when it kicks, it's just gonna scatter pellets all over the place and hit the ground. Saruk just is kind of striding forward in Orcish. We could have talked this out. And then up comes Mace, point it like it's a wand, bam. The bullet hits her square in the stomach, and down she goes. Saruk doesn't break stride and makes his way, unless something immediately happens in the turn order, towards where Aldo is.
Nope. Yeah, you can go ahead and you make that shot. She clutches like her stomach, the gun like falls down the stairs, and she like falls over, and she just goes unconscious from like the pain, and the blood is kind of trickling out of her stomach, pooling on the stairs. But she's incapacitated. The only real time sensitive thing going on in all of this moment is that poor Trietta, the pup, is, bleeding out.
Is there anything I can do to save this doggy?
Do you have medicine? Yeah, do you have a medicine kit?
Nope.
Paste.
Nope.
So I will say, right?
Saruk could drop his.
Saruk's wearing medicine tools, and I think Anita is as well. Do you guys have... I don't think you guys have a bandolier. Or do you have it like worn like as a bandolier?
Yeah, mine's on my bandolier.
So you would notice, right, how that there are 2 of your allies that have a medical kit within, reach.
So I think Hal would probably... He would look back over his shoulder to Anita, and he would kind of growl, and you see his like teeth, his canines pointed. You usually see him just chewing on a cigar with his mouth closed regularly, and his nose kind of goes back a little bit. And are you going to be able to take care of this dog?
Yes.
All right.
As soon as I could.
Kneel down towards it and say, you need to... Dog's vitals are here, here, and here. You need to patch him there.
I got it.
Aiding the medicine check?
Yep.
Okay. So, Reficule, what would you do in this moment where they're fawning over the pup?
I'd pop out. Thanks, lady. Thanks, lass. And look over. Bloody hell, Annie. What'd you do?
It's not me, it's Wyber.
Right, good job. Good job, Wybert. And I'm going to stride. Probably spend 2 actions to stride over there.
Okay.
And then spend an interaction action to grab the gun.
Yeah. So, there is like a sort of giant.
Well, I see Saruk is there, and he's about to grab hold of the. You know what? No, I won't grab the gun yet. I'm going to point my gun, at Aldo, and say, "It'd be best if you don't make any moves."
Okay. Cool.
Please. Good cop, bad cop.
Yep. All right. Well, that brings us to before Anita gets to go. This pup has 1 shot to make a death saving throw. I don't know if there's. I'll just roll a d20. Fingers crossed. We all want this pup to live. I mean, here's the thing. As a GM, right? Once I roll this, that's that. I could just be nice and let you make the medicine check and let that be.
No, do it.
You know what? I'm gonna do that because it's in your hands, Anita. Whether this pup lives or dies is based on your role and not mine.
Wow, way to pass the
Exactly.
fucking buck.
I'm giving you the shot here. So, Hal, as directing, you make the medicine check to aid this roll, DC 20.
Do I get any bonuses due to my heritage?
Oh, ooh, you want a circumstance bonus on this roll? Sure, I'll give you a +1 circumstance bonus because of your heritage. Because I really want this pup to live.
Alrighty.
God, it was a 20 for just a second.
I'm gonna use a hero point.
Yes, you are.
Yes, we're
Save that pup! If you have hero points in chat, now would be the time to give them to save this poor pup. Oh, look at that hero point! It is a 19, which actually, even with your roll, isn't enough, but I feel like it needs to get it because you spent a hero point. So, Anita, you can make a medicine check. You are going to get a +1 circumstance bonus from Hal's aid. And in this case, the DC is 17 because the pup is dying too.
All right. Anita looks at Hal and says, I mean, I know this is completely an accident. It's not Wybert's fault. But you have to admit that was pretty amazing. So that's an 18.
Will do it. So that 18 is enough.
I mean, did you see him wind up and just hit it? Amazing. Oh, look!
Yeah, you stabilize the pup. It is no longer dying. It's unconscious. It's stable. But you work your little magic and are able to stop this poor pup from an untimely death. But I like, as you're doing this, Wybert is still standing over the top with his, like, buzzsaw, like, ready to kill the pup, right? It doesn't stand down.
Wybert, you could calm down.
It, like, goes into, like, standby mode and just, like, tucks itself in and just stands over the pup, motionless. And I think with that, that'll do it. We are out of initiative. Wow, you guys. I mean... Talk about some good rolls.
I'm sure that will come back to bite us later.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Y'all are pretty good at Pathfinder.
I'll pick up the dog, wrap him up in my suit, my blanket. He's coming with me.
Oh, we're gonna have
So, you're standing over Ruthie, right? Ruthie is unconscious, bloodied. There's a Sansi's over there, knocked unconscious. He's got his metal gloves and nothing else. Ruthie has, like, this sort of crossbow. You can see she's got a money pouch right on her hip. And poor Aldo, standing there right under you, Saruk, is bound and gagged, looking at you wide-eyed, because you just blasted, the person that took him. He's not sure what to think of you guys, and is currently, like, struggling against his bonds and just staring up at you because he's tipped over at this point, looking pretty high up at you.
So I didn't want to interrupt anybody. But while the dog was being fixed, the first thing as soon as Saruk gets there is just lean in, fireman carry them. As I get closer, quietly in common, I'm not gonna hurt you, we just need to talk. And try to go like upstairs to where the nearest place with a door I can close is.
Sure. So you can go ahead, you move upstairs and you take Aldo sort of with you. Ruffy is close enough because he's just trailing you, right? You watch as Saruk, fireman, carries Aldo up the stairs and tells him, I just need to talk, and goes up.
We're not going to hurt him. When was that part of the plan?
So you get to the top of the stairs, Saruk. Are you following him, Ruffy? I mean, you can still see him, right? You still have eyesight on him.
No, actually. Not yet. I'm going to take Ruthie's coin purse.
Okay.
Take the blunderbuss. It is a blunderbuss, right?
Yes, yeah. So I can add that to your character sheet if you want to go ahead and
put it over one shoulder, and then look down at Ruthie. Think for a moment. Actually, no. I look down at Ruthie, bring my gun up, point it at her, and then I think for a moment, and I look back. Annie, do we want this woman coming after us later?
Do you think she would?
I mean, you killed her dog and now,
No, he's alive, No, he's alive.
Right, but now Whiskers is going to steal him. So, I feel like this lady might come after us.
It's not her dog anymore.
So, I'm going to kill her, yeah?
Alright, well, I mean, next time don't tell me that you're gonna kill someone.
Well, no, but that's why I want... Like, I was just going to kill her, but I wanted to know what you think.
Oh, I really appreciate it, Reffy. But yeah, go ahead. I'm just gonna take care of this person right here.
And I fire. As soon as she says go ahead, I fire.
I'm gonna leave, like, before that happens.
Yep, so Hal heads for the door. Halbrand steps out the front. The bartender's yelling at you guys, like, who's gonna pay for this? And there's Saruk, you're walking, you're carrying Aldo, and you just hear the boom, the unmistakable sound of Ruffy gunfire going off.
And then I toss the coin purse, Ruthie's coin purse, to the bartender.
Okay. And yeah, so that's all going on downstairs as Saruk takes Aldo upstairs. What is Saruk's sort of reaction to that, like, moment where you're carrying and just behind you, just a loud, unmistakable gunshot?
Honestly, I think the only way I can describe Saruk's reaction is just brow furrows, eyes narrow. Reffy is meta aware that Saruk will remember this. It's maybe the best way to frame that.
That's what you see on Ruffy's screen, like, Saruk will remember this.
Saruk hated that. Saruk will remember this.
Yes, okay.
But there's nothing out, like, overt in any sort of way as I'm trying to go do the thing.
Okay. Yeah, so just for 1 second, like, Reffy shoots Ruthie's, completely brained, completely dead. She also has a sort of crossbow on her and a short sword. If anybody's interested in, taking her stuff, you should be able to take anything she's wearing off her dead body, because she's dead now and her token is lootable, including her chain shirt and stuff like that. So we cut back up the stairs. Where are you looking? So you go up the stairs. It looks like there's this long, sort of narrow hallway that has doors on each side going down it. And as you look down at the far, far end, there's sort of a nicer looking door that's currently, like, completely kicked open.
Okay, and there's nobody in there?
It doesn't look like it. You don't see anything from the hallway. It's just a pretty nice looking room at the end of the hall. And all the other doors, there's like two on the left, two on the right. They both look closed.
Okay. So then I suppose we just head that direction through the open door. As soon as I get in, I will set Aldo down on the bed, close the door, lock it if the lock is not broken.
It's not.
Excellent.
It actually doesn't look like there was a lock in the first place.
Fair. So in that case, I will... Oh gosh, if there's no lock, is there something like a chair or something I can put under the knob so it doesn't just get kicked open?
Yep, you could very easily wedge something in the room, give it some sort of support to at least slow someone coming in. It's a pretty heavy metal door too.
Okay. So then I set Aldo down on the bed. I remove his gag. I presume he immediately has a lot of opinions he'd like to share.
Oh yes, yes he does. So immediately he starts coughing. Right, he's had this gag in his mouth for some time. Like, who are you?
That's not important. I reach down. I pull my water skin and like pantomime lean your head back, and I waterfall a little.
Yep. So he lets it hit the back of his throat and you know, satiate some of that burning he's got. He takes a deep breath. He's still bound, right? You just taken the gag off?
Yeah.
Listen, I didn't take anything. This bounty, I told Ruthie, it's not, I didn't steal anything. It doesn't matter. What are you going to do?
When he says that, before, Saruk is holding up two fingers as if I have two questions to ask you. Then he says that I would like to perception to sense motive my
For sure.
lead.
Go ahead and roll that sense motive.
I think I was supposed to roll that privately, so my eyes are closed.
No, that's fine. Yep. Okay. So as you sense motive on Aldo, the main thing you get a sense, he doesn't seem to be deceptive in this moment. He's very much sort of giving off an attitude of somebody who's sort of given up and accepting his fate. Like as he said that last sentence to you, like he sounds like a broken, defeated man.
Two questions then. If you really didn't do it, I'll see what I can do. I can't speak for the gunshot. First question, I'm looking for someone named Gimthrak. He, like me, I motion to where the silver rings on my tusks are, the various bits of bone and things that are hanging from me, would probably be dressed like me. I have it on good authority. You can help me find him. Do you know anything?
No, I'm sorry, I don't. Grimthrak.
Then
he looks like he's really he's like, oh yeah, I mean, sure, yeah, I've seen him, yeah, but you can tell with your sense of motive, he's just telling you what you want to hear.
You just kind of look at him, give him that really dude kind of look.
No.
Fuck. Second question, if you didn't do it, what happened?
Listen, I owed a bit of gambling debts, right? It happens. 200 gold, I believe. But I was working. I was paying it off, right? Saving up. I was doing honest work. I intended to square myself away. Next thing I know, I got some scary looking... Wait, did you say orc?
Yes.
I don't know him by Grimthrak, but there was this orc. He showed up in my apartment, scary looking orc, knocking on my door. Maybe it's Grimthrak, I don't know. Saying we needed to talk. They said they owed my debt. And that meant they owned me. Look, they didn't want my money. They wanted some formulas from where I worked. I refused outright. But they insisted it would be better if I did. You know? They knew my parents, they knew my friends, the girl I loved. And they said if I didn't help them, something bad might happen. Get me?
Describe the orc in question. This whole time Saruk is whatever is closest to him that is not his or Aldo's that he can white knuckle, he is white knuckling.
So he gives you a pretty decent description, you know, tall like you, doesn't remember any sort of decorations on the tusk, but you know, prominent tusks. It looked, and then the one thing that he says is I remember very specifically, I saw some tattoos sticking up from beneath his collar, on his neck. That was his most distinguishing feature.
Is that enough for Saruk to have that's the guy?
Yeah, I think for sure in that moment it matches kind of what you were hoping to hear.
Do you know where to find him?
No, I mean, he... Oh. I assume he's the one that hired you, right? The deadline was approaching. I dipped out. I panicked. I took what little money I had. I had a plan. Next thing you know, I got bounty hunters knocking down my door. I mean, I assumed he's the one that hired you to bring me in, no?
No, someone named Hagos. It's arbitrary at this point. If you truly didn't do it, I'm not going to turn you in. Is there anyone who can pay these debts? Your church, your lover, anyone?
My debt's been settled. It's these people, they don't want my money, they want my obedience, I guess.
I see. I don't know if I can talk my compatriots into it. Forgive me. I need to be very blunt with you. Do you have 10 gold?
He's like, well, no, I had 5, but Ruthie took it when she took me into custody. And like, there's a moment when the camera cuts downstairs, and there's like a bag of gold that like Ruthie has tossed to the barkeep, right? And the barkeep's like thumbing through the pouch of gold, and he pulls it out, and you can see him counting it. It's 10 gold on the counter.
I mean, kind of worth not getting the shield marshals called on us.
This is true.
And he's like, I'll give you anything. I mean, that's all I had. That was my last shot at freedom.
I understand. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to undo your bonds. We're going to talk to my compatriots. You are going to be very convincing in the fact that your church cares about you very much, and you are a very respected member of that community, and why, yes, they would pay any amount up to and including your bounty to keep you safe and amongst the flock. Yes?
But isn't it kind of wrong to lie? I mean, my church is kind of big on, well, it's about doing, it's more about protecting the community, you know?
There's a very, very thoughtful nod at protect the community.
How much do you say the bounty was? I mean, I know that I owe 200 gold.
You are wanted for questioning. Nasruk air quotes, questioning. I'm not sure the authorities in this part of the world would just question you. 10 gold.
Sure, we could scrounge that up at my temple.
Very well.
Somebody, I mean,
Now,
I have friends.
Now answer honestly. Are you carrying anything that you could use to hurt me or my compatriots?
The only weapon I had was my blunderbuss, and I was disarmed. And there's no, like, you can even pat him down if you so choose. He's got, like, studded leather armor on. He's defensed up pretty decently, like, expecting someone to come after him, but he doesn't have any other weapons on him. All he had was his sort of weapon, which he no longer has on him.
Relax. You don't need to be tense. By the grace of Majagua, I will keep you safe. And I undo his bonds.
All right. And I think at this point, the camera sort of floats down through the floorboards, down into the bar scene, right? It's been some times past. So Anita and Rufikul are still sort of in the brothel. What are you guys doing in these sort of moments that's passed after Ruthie's been executed?
Hey, Ruffy, you need some patching up. I see you're bleeding there.
I'll be fine. Deal with it. But, we should probably search her. Might have a bit more interesting bits on her.
Oh, no, that's why I'm here. I was just being respectful and asking if you wanted some patching up. But yeah, I wanted to grab some stuff from her.
Yeah, I figured you might. That doesn't surprise me. The fact that you gave me go-ahead. Not that I'm complaining, but... Right.
No,
I'm going to go over and shoot that other guy now, because I don't want him coming after us either.
Yeah, he's starting to stir a little bit over there.
No, I don't think he'd be coming after us, though.
Do you see the size of him? I mean, I don't need patching up, but my lip. Do you see that?
Yeah. No, you
That's an extra little flap. That wasn't there when we came in.
No, you just offended because he he put a number on you and you never got to put a number on him.
Right, but I don't want him getting up and put another number on me, so I'm going to shoot him. In
No,
his
but
face.
I have a hypothesis though, Revi.
Right.
What if I patch him up and he wakes up and then he sees us, right? He knows that we were part of the group that took him down. So what if he wakes up and he's like, but we're there for peace. So do you think that would, he would immediately be scared of us already?
Are you patronizing me?
Maybe. I know your accent just, it bleeds through. I bloody well hate it sometimes. I mean,
Right.
I ask.
That's one scenario. Could happen. Now, what if he wakes up, sees we shot his boss, Whiskers over here stole his boss's dog, right? He got clocked, and he wakes up angry and wants to punch me again.
But then you punch him back.
I could, or I shoot him in the face now, and we prevent all that from happening.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about
While
this.
we're talking, I'm reloading my gun.
No, and then that's just super casual for Anita. We've been through this. I just think that now, you know what, Chul, when it comes to murder, we've talked about this, right? I don't mind it if other people do it. However, if I or Wybird do it, then it's a problem.
Right. How's the dog doing?
Oh no, he's fine. Hal took him.
Yeah, Hal, I just want to make sure you took the dog with you outside.
Yeah, I wrapped him up in my blanket.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. I just wanted to make sure this dog has been taken outside at this point. Okay, just making sure.
Right. So, you search what used to be old Ruthie there, right? And I'll go deal with our large friend.
All right. Oh, hey, after this, do you want to take a break? Or I was thinking of maybe going back to the casino, talk to that lady. We had to leave earlier.
Right, I mean,
I still have that silver poker chip.
we're about to come into some gold, so...
Oh, that's true. We do need some money. All right, well, yeah.
I'm just walking over, and as I get over, I'm like, yeah, we're about to come into some gold, and without even looking, I just shoot the guy in the face.
Yeah, and I'm just picking Ruthie's pockets while he shot her. Oh, wow. Oh, look, a crossbow.
Yep. So we see Refugio walk over, gun loaded, point it down on the guy who's starting to stir awake a little bit, and the camera cuts to out front of the Iron Bells on these sort of sundown on dusk. Halbert, what's going on outside? Oh, sorry, Halbert.
Mm-hmm.
You take a hero point because I messed up your name. Halbrent.
The one I spent to save the dog.
Yeah, you also get one for saving the dog with a hero point. I'm just going to replenish that.
Go.
So Hal Brent, you're outside, you're holding the pup in your arms. You've heard the first gunshot go off as you left. And you're out here for a few minutes before the second gunshot goes off. But what are you doing in this moment?
I think I would take the dog around to the nearest dark alley and take off my blanket and set him down and wrap him up, make sure he's covered, and just sit there on my what looks like I'll call it on my haunches for the time being, but kind of kneel down, but still on my feet, leaning over him, just making sure he's still breathing and kind of sniffing around his wounds.
Yeah. So definitely looks like Anita did a good job of patching him up. He's no longer bleeding out. The wound has been staunched and sort of sealed off. It's a little haphazard. It's almost it looks like she took a chip clip and just put it on the wound, but it's functional, right? In the short time she had, it was pretty genius the way she was able to do that. And upon closer inspection, it's actually a girl, not a boy. But it's breathing. You can feel that sort of heavy, shallow breath that the dog is doing in your arms. But fairly safe and depending on what you're trying to do, just nurture it.
Yep. I'm going to wait for it to wake up.
Okay. in that moment, there's like at that moment as you're like kind of consoling this dog, we hear the second gunshot go off, and like even from the outside, it just echoes and you hear it. And the camera cuts back to Saruk and Aldo, just about wrapping up their conversation to come out, and you guys both hear that second gunshot, and you can see the panic in Aldo's eyes. Saruk.
I just raise a hand, put it like on his shoulder with like enough pressure to be reassuring, which is probably difficult for a person of Saruk's size to do without immediately crossing over into your shoulder is in pain.
Yeah.
I will protect you. I'll spare you the long form. It's part of the job.
And as you sort of lead him down the hallway and down the staircase, you guys both see the bloody mess where Ruthie's head was and the bloody like stain on the staircase that you both have to walk down and step over to get sort of down to everyone. He doesn't, he just lets you lead him. So I think Anita and Refiko would see Saruk leading Aldo down and kind of coming in your guys' direction.
Oh, hello. Did you guys have a good talk?
We did. A very informative talk. My friend here tells me that his church would be willing to pay for his bounty. And so that's where we're going. I don't break stride or make eye contact with at least Refi, and just kind of on we go out the door.
Oh, that's very kind of your church. Oh, we saw the flyer that you had. Doomba. Good for you.
Wait, what's the story we're not turning in the bounty?
You're still getting paid. Don't worry about it.
Fair enough.
That's true.
Yeah. You see the sweat beading. Like, you saw that Doomba thing? Yeah, that. It's just like this summer camp, Guys get together and like to play war, Sometimes actually get war. And I think maybe he just starts talking a little overly nervous. Anything he can say to make you like look like not look at him like you're
oversharing. Like
yes, exactly. Like my friend Randy is the one that like turned me on to it. Like I wasn't really sure about this whole Temple of Torag thing, but
really quickly. This it doesn't exactly work mechanically sense, but I do have no cause for alarm.
Okay.
This feels like a time where I might try to do this.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and make your diplomacy check and see how well you can calm the situation down. This would affect your allies and Aldo and everyone.
Wildly enough, I'm using this targeting my lead.
I got Refi a whiskey while we were waiting for Aldo and Saruk.
I think I'm going to use my hero point here.
Okay.
I've rolled well enough today. Why not?
Use that hero point for sure.
That's dangerous words, Tommy. Nice.
Ooh. 24.
Nice.
So you've definitely 24. Managed to sort of. I don't think that doesn't beat anyone's will save DC, and it might even be a critical against some of you, depending on what your will save is. But Saruk does a really good job of just smoothing over the situation and making everyone try to stay calm. Right? If you were frightened, if you had the actual frightened condition, mechanically it would go away. But even roleplay wise, right? It's just things are a little smooth, and you allow Aldo to not be so panicked and oversharing and just take a deep breath and relax in the situation, right?
Are we close enough to the bar where that might work on some of the hotel staff?
Just witness murder?
Possibly. I mean, Anita has kind of bought you the whiskey, so maybe you've made you over to the bar where the barkeep and the madam and everyone is. And right. Since we're in this sort of like nebulous roleplay thing, yeah, like everyone in the area is calm. You've given them the gold pouch. He's peeked into it. You've paid enough that he's willing to like let it slide, right?
I'm gonna down the whiskey and say, sorry about the trouble and the mess. Hope that covers it, but I mean, you clearly saw that they came after us, so.
Right. Of course. Self-defense.
And I just tip my hat and pass the glass back over and start walking towards the door.
Yeah. So I know you might have done it off screen, but you did finish you coup de grace Sansi, right? The big buff guy. So the only thing he did have a coin pouch on him. I don't know if you're gonna take that one too. Okay. That one had 8 silver in it, so you can go ahead and add 8 silver to your inventory.
That's 8 silver more than I had before, so.
He was wearing this like shoddy breastplate type thing that looks pretty well worn. I don't know if you have any use for a heavy piece of breastplate, but his he's wearing these metallic glove sort of things, almost like gauntlets that look like interesting, right? If you want to like literally take his gloves off his dead body's hands, right?
I'm not too interested. Kind of interfere in the trigger fingers, you know.
Got it.
But I will take the 8 silver.
Okay. And so we see Anita and Ruffacule over at the bar. Take a hero point.
His new hero point.
Take a hero point. Ruffacule over at the bar doing this. Are you, Saruk, are you just taking Aldo and like going right out the door or what?
Yeah, just in a straight line to the Church of Torog.
Yep. So you lead him out the front door. The first thing, I mean, outside, Halbrant would, you basically just have this puppy has just started to like barely come to consciousness, and you just see the little bit of like tongue like flicking out, like trying to like lick, but it doesn't really gain full control of its body. And as the dog starts stirring awake, you like look up and you see Saruk coming out with Aldo.
I will give it some of the food and give it some water out of my canteen. Actually, I'm going to give it a lizard's tail because those are really good.
Lizards in me pockets.
Lizards in me pockets.
Lizards in your pockets.
Perfect. It seems very weak. Like, it doesn't seem like maybe it's quite ready. Like, the lizard tail just kind of lolls there and, like, it tries to bite, but it'll get stronger she'll get stronger the more time she spends with you.
All right.
And so with Ruffacule and Anita and Wybird, are you guys following Saruk, or what are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're following.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you find anything useful on Ruthie there?
I got a chain shirt and crossbow.
Could I have grabbed the holster? Oh no, the holster was in
True.
Aldo's apartment still.
No.
Yeah, there's no holster for the blunderbuss, unfortunately.
I might just try to like put it in under my coat as we're walking outside.
It's big, but it's also dwarven size, so it's a little smaller. So it's sizable, but you could just trench coat it. Yeah.
Right. I don't want to be just walking on the streets with a blunderbuss over my shoulder.
Blunderbuss, yeah. Okay. So so I think at this point we sort of crossfade as you guys walk off into the streets of Alkenstar at night, and we're going to go to our break. We got Vander Bio redeeming a stretch, so everyone give him a stretch. We've been going at this for a while. Stretch. Good job. While we're at break, go ahead and take this time, if you will, to support us all here at Recall Knowledge. You can head on over to twitch.tv/Recall Knowledge. Follow us there. We accept humbly your Amazon Prime subscriptions or your regular Twitch subscriptions. You know, we're not discriminatory here. Whatever you got, we'll take it. Head over to youtube.com/Recall Knowledge. It's a great place to catch up on future shows, past shows, etc. What else, you guys? What else do you want to pitch?
If you guys are enjoying what you're seeing right now and would like to further support us, we do have a Patreon. So it's patreon.com/Recall Knowledge, yeah, right?
Yes, it is.
Patreon.com/Recall Knowledge. Please head over there real quick during the break and check out what we could offer. And thank you in advance for your support.
Yes, thank you in advance.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter.
Yep.
Recall Knowledge, and you can find all of our handles there and our recent tweets as well. So,
For better or for worse, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right.
For all of the back and forth on Twitter wars that me and Reffy are going to be having about morals. Also, I want to say I never get to be the guy who gets to do the cool flavoring of the kill as kind of an occupational hazard. This was probably the most fun I've had in combat as a player in a very long time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Even aside from just knockout,
You just
knockout
like
move.
a pro here, right? A natural 20
Yeah,
and
you're
stuff
just
and crits.
Combat master saving his enemies and then walking down, and they're just blown away.
Yeah.
Poo poo.
Yeah, don't forget, we got a podcast out there on all your favorite podcast platforms. Look us up at Recall Knowledge. We have over 40 episodes of our we have 20 plus Abomination Vaults. We have Force and Destiny. We have Vampire the Masquerade. We have Raycats. We have a bunch of stuff. So go check us out at all your favorite podcast place. Look up Recall Knowledge.
Awesome. All right, we're going to be back in about 10 minutes. Right now it's 8:31. We'll be back at 8:41. Go ahead, stretch your legs, get something to drink, and while you're at break, enjoy some of these silly videos that we got that'll play. And we'll
Enjoy these lizards that we have in our pockets.
enjoy the lizards in the pocket. We'll see you
Lizards in
guys
our pocket.
in 10 minutes. And we are back in Alkenstar. So, the party finds themselves trudging through these darkened streets of Alkenstar towards the Temple of Torag. Now, this is in the Ferris Quarter, which is not too far from the Ustrati Heights, so it's it's a bit of a walk. You're basically marching your bounty across the city. It's like maybe 30 minutes on feet, but there's a big change in the feel of the city, right? When the sun goes down, most people kind of clear the streets. It's a little shady. There's more shadows here. The smog thick. People are really finding themselves in the taverns and whatever means they have of blowing off steam that gets them through their horrendous sort of monotonous jobs. It's all going on behind closed doors, leaving the streets to be fairly empty. And we find our way towards, you guys are making your way towards the Temple of Torag. So I'll give you guys a moment here as a party to sort of, if there's any moments of roleplay that you guys want to do before we get to the temple, I'll leave it up to you guys.
So first thing, I 10,000% want to make sure that it doesn't look like we're marching a dude through the streets of Alkenstar.
Right, makes sense.
Right.
It's not like you got him at gunpoint marching him. Yeah.
We are casually walking together. Saruk is close to him, but not behind him with the butt of his mace into his back or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. And because of what you've told him in diffusing the situation, he doesn't even his body language does not seem like the kind of person that's looking for a chance to make an escape or make a big break. You're marching him to a safe location that he's happy to go to, and he is happy to go along with your plan. Right.
Okay.
Reficule is still. I'm gonna take my left arm, pull it out of my jacket sleeve. So the sleeve is just so the left part of my jacket is just hanging over my shoulder, right?
So you are Orin from Final Fantasy X.
Right. So my left arm is covered with my jacket, so that way I can have it already ready on my gun, but under my jacket, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So you look a little awkward walking like that, but you're able to at least disguise it so somebody that doesn't give you a nice hard look might not notice.
I'll be walking right next to Hal. Are you still carrying the dog?
Yeah, I'm literally carrying it in my blanket.
Yeah, the dog at this point is sort of back to decent consciousness. It's not able to power herself, but she's able to move her head and look at what's going on in her surroundings. And she kind of fluctuates between this sort of being submissive and also baring her teeth and growling at you. She's a little unsure of this sort of situation.
I will definitely bare my teeth and growl back.
Oh man, that's awesome.
All right, so did you figure out if it's a he or a she?
She. It's a she, and I told you not to kill her. But your damn robot.
I didn't kill her.
I thought you said it fixes things.
No. Well, yeah, he could.
I didn't literally mean permanently fix it, if you know what I mean.
No, here's my thing though. That doesn't usually happen with Wybert. More often than not, he actually fails when he tries to hit someone. That's why he just swings and then hopefully it hits. Unfortunately, that time it hit the dog really badly.
I've seen him swing one time. One time.
Yeah, well...
As far as I'm concerned, every time he swings them damn things, he's gonna kill somebody. Or something. It's just a pup.
I know. I mean, I feel bad about it too. That's why I came in and tried to heal it. But I do, in defense of Wybert, I wouldn't say he didn't mean it, because he definitely meant it, but he didn't mean to hit it as strong as he did.
Did Ruthie call this dog by name or anything?
Your name?
No, this
How?
Did you call a pup by name? Like Sikkim? Anything like that?
I don't remember. Does he have a collar? Usually they have a collar or something.
Doesn't have a collar. Well, it has a collar, but dogs don't deserve to be on leashes.
So what do you want to do with the dog?
Oh, I'm going to keep her.
Little...
I'm going to name her
keep
right
her?
now. Yeah.
Sure. What?
Dog's name is Annie.
Oh,
That's not going to get confusing.
piss off. What are you trying to do?
Turn her into a killer.
Well, no, I think that you named it because I brought it back to life.
Could be.
You know, I'm not going to take offense to this because it's nothing to be offended about. However, hopefully there wouldn't come a time when you need me, and I think that you're calling out for the dog instead of me. So I don't answer.
Your name's Anita.
Yeah, but you know, what if we get close and then eventually start calling me Annie?
Maybe I'll call you Karen instead. I said Kieran.
Karen? How do I call you again? How?
Call me Hal.
Your accent. Hal.
Everybody calls me Hal. You can call me Hal Brent. Hal Brent Beastwood. At your service.
Pleasure. Well, if there's anything else I could do for Annie, I do have tools that could maybe bring her up a little more.
Oh, okay. Yeah, keep your
No,
robot away
I
from me.
didn't kill it.
Does your robot rust?
Why, are you going to do anything about it? Going to try and make him rust?
No,
You
I'm
better
not going to
not.
do anything of the sort. Why would I do something like that? Isn't that right, Annie?
I don't know. Oh, you bloody elf.
Just looking over this conversation. Unable to really
Oh, by the way, before I
do much.
leave you two together, I do want to ask, how did you know that I was going to college? Not a lot of people know that.
A lot of people know your pops.
You've met my
So-
dad.
I haven't met your pops. I have not. Just know he's got really smart offspring. So you look
I know
like
we
you're
look
pretty
very
smart.
much alike, huh? The likeness is uncanny.
And pretty young, but pretty smart, and talks a shit ton. So that's you.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I hope you don't do anything to Wyvern.
I'm not gonna do anything to the robot. What am I gonna do to him? He listens to you.
I don't know.
Walks around. Just don't let him kill the dogs. That's all I ask. Anything
No,
else?
That wasn't.
I think maybe as you're holding, right, Wyber steps a little faster and comes into view, and you watch as the dog sort of like cowers back into your and tries to pull its head back into the little poncho.
He really didn't. Wybert really didn't mean to hit that hard. How about this? When we're all done, when we give Aldo back to the church, I'm gonna go. I was thinking about doing it anyway. I'm going to fix Wybert's strength a little bit. Maybe fine tune him so that it never happens again. But I do have a question for you, though.
You can do it. Just don't do it to the dogs. I have a soft spot in my heart for them, for the puppers.
Oh. All right. I'll make sure.
All right, fair enough.
And
Howdy.
yeah, you guys sort of stop because you've now arrived outside the Temple of Torag, right? Unless there was something Tommy and Fuel, you guys had to get off your chest. Oh, right.
Maybe not in
Lot.
public.
Raphael is just whistling. And if no one's going to say anything to him, he's not going to say anything.
Yeah, Saruk is just going to keep walking.
Yep.
They're
So
But at
Just
the point where, Hal says he's got a soft spot for dogs, Raphael's behind him in Annie's view and just going, the face. He's got the same face.
So this is happening right outside as you guys are standing outside the temple. The temple seems a little out of place here on the streets of the Fair's Quarter. It's nestled between two unassuming bars. The outside sign proclaims in common, "All are welcome." And unlike the sort of neighboring buildings, this one has a bit more of a clean sheen to it. Even though it's night, you don't see as well. Those of you with dark vision or low light vision, it's definitely been taken care of. The grime has been scrubbed off of this much more than the surrounding. Inside, beyond the doors, they are open with some lights sort of shining inside. There's a large sort of machinery dominating the center of the room. It's kind of glowing with like the light of a furnace. That you can even feel out here that the heat is wafting from the inside out in the kind of coolish air. And you've arrived at where you guys want to go. Are you just taking them in?
Yeah, presuming the door is like
It is
not locked.
It's wide open, yeah. So inside the space, this machine dominates the room. It gets even warmer in here. There's only one person that's like not sort of a member of the clergy that's like sitting here. They've got like a sketch pad of some sort. And the way the room is set up is like this sort of machinery is set in the middle. Kind of a hybrid of like a forge and some sort of assembly line machine you might see in a workshop here in the city. And it's the pews are sort of built in a circular pattern around it, and it radiates outward, so everyone kind of faces the center of the room. And this one person is sitting there with a sketch pad, just kind of idly sketching something in a book, not even really paying attention to you guys as you come in. But near the forge in the middle is this dwarf dressed in some like ornate golden robes that have some sort of silver and golden thread of clockwork designs woven into it. Oh, sorry. Golden with silvery threads. And you can see he's instructing a couple of these younger humans on how to clean the machine. Aldo like kind of whispers to you like, oh, that's Master Brock right there.
They're in charge?
He nods.
So we're going to approach them. We're going to ask them if there's somewhere we can talk in private. And when I say we, I mean you. You're going to explain that we're friends. And then when we get in private, you're going to tell them everything you told me about your situation. And again, you're going to be incredibly persuasive. And you're going to make sure that the church has your back in this.
It's okay. He already kind of knows what's going on. We talked about it. He's not going to be too happy with how I approach things. Master Brock! And he like kind of goes over like with a big old smile and they shake hands and it plays out exactly like you asked, right? He motions to you guys, explains that you're his friends and you need to like move somewhere a little more private for a less eavesdroppy conversation. And he's able to sort of procure you guys one of his offices. It's a little cramped. It's usually for like 3 or so people, but there's standing room as you guys kind of crowd in. If you guys want to all go into the office or not, I don't know who's actually going, but Aldo and Brock leave towards this room, and you guys are free to follow if you'd like.
Miss Saruk does. I would like for Brock is their name?
Yes, Brock.
Mm-hmm.
I would like them to be my second lead.
All right, so you pursue a lead on Brock. Okay.
Reficule would probably actually looking a bit uncomfortable in the temple. Would probably actually, once he knows the situation is being taken care of by Tux, actually kind of hang out by the exit.
Yeah, Hal's gonna stay outside with the dog.
Okay.
I'll come with Saruk.
Okay. So Saruk and Anita. What about Wybert?
Robert's gonna stay with Refi and Hal.
Okay, just
And
to
Annie.
torment that pup some more.
No, he doesn't have his things anymore. He's like this. Like he has his head down in shame.
Perfect. So Anita, Saruk, Aldo, and Brock are all sort of here, and you hear him like close the door, and Brock he's got like an air of sort of regalness about him, and he looks to you and he looks to Aldo and he says, I imagine this has to do with the gambling debts that we talked about. And Brock sort of like hanging his head, Aldo sort of hanging his head in shame as he side eyes you guys. He's like, yeah, these well, I'll let them explain it.
I'll let Saruk take the lead.
So, if Aldo is telling us the truth, and I believe he is, I look back down. You were being extorted, yes?
Yeah, Aldo nods his head and Brock says, yes, we talked about this, right? Aldo, we face our problems head on. We don't run away from them, right? And Aldo just kind of shakes his head a little bit. He's like, I had to for them. And then Brock sort of breathes and then looks at you. He's like, so what has he done?
I get the sense nothing that you don't already know about. My concern is that the law, and I wave broadly at the nearest window, may not treat someone of his socioeconomic status with the most sense of fairness. And so I wanted to bring, forgive me, where I come from, the church plays a very high role in law and security. I tap my holy symbol, which is affixed to my armor.
Yeah, pretty prominently displayed, right?
Maybe I'm outside of my depth, but I am within my familiarity. Do you believe if he goes for questioning, he will be fine, and he will say to the powers that be that he was extorted and the problem fixes itself? Because if not, I look over at Adita, look down at Aldo, and then over at Brock, should come up with a different solution.
Brock kind of looks at you. New to town?
More or less.
Well, let me ask you first. Has Aldo broken any laws that you know of?
Running back from session 1, is there anything Saruk would definitely remember?
Not so much. I mean, from your understanding, right, you went to Hagos's office, right? Hagos was sort of the contact, the fixer. He's the one that set you up with the job. He told you guys that there was a bounty in from his employer, right? It was supposed to be from Aldo's employer at the Red Ruby Fireworks, I think it was called.
Mm-hmm.
And that he was wanted by his employer for questioning. But you start to like connect a few dots, and one of the only directions you were given were to stay away from asking questions at his place of employment, right? They wanted to keep things hush-hush. You were told he had actually stolen from his employer and was wanted in questioning. If all those to be believed, he never actually went through with it. And so then the question really becomes, who placed the bounty under, and possibly under false pretenses, right? And so so as you make those things, I think Brock is like, more than likely it's a less than lawful bounty. I mean, I'm guessing the people who are trying to have him brought in are not his employers at all, but probably the ones who are looking to extort our friend here. Yeah, so sort of what he's explaining, he doesn't believe the bounty is necessarily a lawful bounty anyways, right? Like, what do you know of this Hagos anyway?
The bounty isn't lawful. He didn't commit a crime. I guess, what do I know of Hagos? Very little, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, you've maybe run a few jobs from him. He's kind of, in terms of the tier of like people in the city with respect, he's definitely on the bottom rung. He's the kind of people that get jobs when they have no street cred and no way to get a better paying job. He's a little sleazy, you know. He always, I mean, you've only maybe ran a few jobs for him, and you're pretty particular about the kind of jobs you take anyways, but he's always paid on time. I guess he's not very forthcoming with his information. He just gives you the job and expects you to get it done.
So it seems it tracks back to Hagos. The next immediate concern when we do not turn Aldo in is that Aldo may be in danger. Is there anything you can do to help with that? To forgive my paranoia, again, very new in town, but if this is, well, as you say, less than lawful.
Well, like I said, we don't believe in running from our problems. We face them head on, but we face them together as a community. Aldo here, he's one of us. We will do what we can to protect him. And then Aldo, you know, he's like, it's not so much myself I'm worried about. It's my friends and family they've threatened.
We're working on it. I'm working on it. What an ironic time to bring up my next point. Brock, you realize there's a bounty on his head.
And right.
The people who I associate with and myself, we need to eat. We are going out of our way to ensure that things go as they should. Aldo here made it out that you would be willing to compensate us for this. Is that...
You can see Aldo looking a little sheepish, right? And how much is this bounty?
He's worth 10 gold, if you can believe it. I just kind of like half smile.
He laughs. 10 gold. You can see him sizing you up and trying to see if maybe you're trying to pull one over on him.
If I have a copy of the bounty, I pull it, or somewhere it was written down, I produce it, set it on the table, push it over.
Yeah. He sees it. He's like, all right. Aldo. And Aldo looks up, right? Like, you're going to pay back every silver of this, every copper. And he's just nods like, right, I will. And he agrees to pay the 10 gold to cover your bounty on his head.
And it all worked out.
Of course. And he's
Follow-up
like, and you guys are
question.
the only bounty hunters looking for him, so this should be easily resolved.
Yeah. Follow-up question, do you think it's safe for him to stay at his apartment during this time? Would I know if the head of the Church of Torag would have like a specific title or honorific I would use?
I just gave him the title of master here in this workshop. It's sort of nebulous. I'm not sure if there's a better title for him, but he's like, you heard Aldo refer to him as Master Brock.
Okay. Well, Master Brock, do you think he's safe to stay at his place?
Paying you guys off to not turn him in probably doesn't remove the bounty from being on his head. I think it's probably best if he stays hidden for a while.
My thoughts exactly.
Maybe we can arrange a visit to one of our off-site locations. Let's say at the Gunworks or Dongenhold.
Indeed. Aldo, do you have your keys on you?
Aldo, he's like, all of my stuff is back in the room you interrogated me at.
I see. Just kind of a slow nod. Is it okay if I stay to... How do I say this? May I stay in your apartment to case the joint and on the off chance a mutual friend comes back?
Sure. Yeah, that... Wait, so you're gonna like wait and set a trap or something? Who are you people anyways?
Fine. I remove the holy symbol that's like hanging from my chest, turn it over. In Orcish on the back, the letters MS. I had this like out in my head, then I'm gonna fuck up and say MSRP. MSSP.
Okay.
I'm with the Madakali Special Security Police. I'm here on business. That business involves, symbol goes back on, a mutual friend. I also would prefer to not sleep in the, places like the Iron Bells, right?
Yeah, sure. Help yourself to the icebox. I got some good chow in there.
Will do. Well, I think our business is concluded. Thank you, Master. I hand to heart bow.
And he at this point has excused himself because he doesn't have the money like here in his office. He's got to go get it from the sort of safe and storage. So he will go and do that, leaving you guys a moment here.
Zrock,
What?
could you ask him? In his house, his apartment, a lot of his books were hollowed out. Why were they hollowed out? Also, do you really believe him?
Are you asking like right in front of Aldo? Because Aldo's still here.
As Anita is talking, I just lean back so the sound goes forward.
In Orcish. Sorry, in Orcish.
There you go. Just ask him yourself, I say in common.
Aldo, what's up with... What's up? What's with all the hollowed out books that you have in your apartment? What's that about?
Well, well, most of those are old technical manuals. They're a little outdated, so I've kind of... It's where I kept my money.
Do I believe him?
Make a sense motive check.
I might as well.
You can both make it if you want, which would be a perception check.
I'm gonna clue in, because I remember I have that. So
Ooh,
Anita
that's
has a plus
22.
one.
Ooh, nice.
23. Because you're
23.
going against my lead.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so you clue in, you're able to give the bonus to her. Nice.
Oh.
He seems to be on the up and up. You know, if he's telling the truth, and there's no indication he's lying, that yes, that's where he kept a lot of his money and his savings. And he just goes on to describe that, you know, he kept his money there. You know, most criminals don't bother with books. And once it was time to hit the street, I took every bit of gold I had saved up, which was about 50. And I hit the street. And I intended to gamble and turn it into the 200 and to pay off my debt properly, and hopefully they would. Unfortunately, I was down to 5 gold when you found me.
At the casino? Your debt at the casino?
Oh, more like back room card games and
Oh,
such.
alright.
Yeah, I was trying to lay low.
Oh. Well, I mean, you're in luck because a man named Akuz Fithy apparently paid off your debts at the casino, so don't have to think about that anymore.
Akuz is the man I owed 200 gold to. My debts were paid. Akuz told me I didn't owe him anymore. Well,
Yeah,
that's...
got that switched.
Yeah.
So, right. Yeah, I owed Akuz 200 gold, and I was going to pay him back, and somebody apparently bought my debt off of him. I might have been the guy your friend was asking me about, and points at Saru.
Sir just nods really quickly once.
Man, you shouldn't really owe people a lot of money. This is what happens.
As long as I pay it back, it's never really worked out like this.
Mm.
I don't understand how in this sort of civilized society somebody could just buy another person's debt and claim them as their property. It just doesn't seem right.
That's because your society isn't civilized.
Unfortunately, that's right.
I'm sorry, I'm speaking out of turn.
No, you're not. You're just being very honest. I appreciate that.
And Brock returns at this point and drops a sort of bag of 10 gold into your guys' hand, or into Saruk's hand. I believe
Thank
this
you.
squares us.
It does. I appreciate you. I didn't know if coming here would make things more complicated.
We tried to be a place that's open for all. Perhaps I could leave some literature with you guys to read.
Please.
So they sort of give you a little Temple of Torag pamphlet.
Oh, thank you.
Have you accepted Torag into your heart?
Right. Pretty much.
Have you accepted Torok into your forge?
Basically, like, spouting how, you know, thanks to Torag's blessing was the black powder actually invented, and you guys owe, you know, Alkenstar owes everything to that, and it's best not to forget why he gave us the gunpowder, and that is to defend our neighbor from the evils that lurk beyond the walls. Really sort of working you guys, like, it tries to spin, like, look at all the dangerous stuff, and we have the answer. The answer is explosives. Come to the temple and play with explosives, right? Like,
Rafiki might be interested in that.
yeah, not a bad pitch, right?
Very accurate. Look at all the horrible shit in the mana waste. How can we fix it? With guns.
Guns and each other.
And gears.
So,
The Forge Father is slightly out of my wheelhouse, but back home there are similar. Thank you. And I'll fold it up real nice and neat, tuck it away.
yep. And Aldo, he shakes your hand, Saruk, and he just says, like, I don't know how to thank you for believing me.
Maybe stop gambling and getting yourself in bad situations. There are people who love you, and I think they would prefer it if in a hypothetical future down the line where I'm not here to sweep in and save the day, you didn't put yourself there in the first place, right?
Right. Kind of like scratches the back of his neck and looks down a little bit.
Don't be ashamed. It's the road to anywhere but here can often be paved with, I'll save you the analogy. I think you're going to get enough preaching to in your immediate future, my friend. I smile, clap him on the shoulder, go to walk, and then stop short of the door. Anita, don't tell them what you heard in here. I don't know if I can trust the one who's very trigger happy.
Hey, that's my friend you're talking about.
Your friend is very trigger happy. Your friend presumably shot 2 people who were unable to defend themselves.
Well, to be fair, he did ask me, and I did say yes. You'd have to hear his
Guilty
point.
by association. What point? Go at this point. Stop. Back to door. Sell me on it, please.
You're having the conversation in the office with the guy just talking about openly murdering someone.
Right in front of someone with more cleric spells than I have.
Yep.
Well, since you've asked so nicely, Ruffy and I work here at night. We work for someone who you would consider shady. So if we make more enemies here, which was Ruffy's point earlier when he did ask me for permission, it would just make our jobs harder.
How exactly did we make enemies? They were down, presumably. Someone would have called the local authorities. They would have been taken away for, assaulting us. And then they would be locked up, and that would be that. Or am I giving the shield marshals too much credit?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Here's the thing, though. You said so yourself that you're new here.
Yes.
People in Alkenstar, especially the smoke side, are very vindictive. So it's... Have you heard of the term, like, an eye for an eye?
Of course. Makes all of Galarian blind.
Yeah, but I mean, that's how it has been. That's how it's been here at Alkenstar. So, unfortunately, I mean, people's moralities are always in question here. However, at the end of the day, it's about surviving. If we left those threats up, then I could 100% bet with you that they would come and bite us in the arse.
At which point they would be on the ground. You can take care of yourself.
I mean,
you made a machine that very nearly eviscerated a dog today.
I know, but he didn't. He didn't.
I'm not upset about that. It would be regrettable. But there comes a point where it's you or them, right? In the case of a dog who may rip my throat out, honestly, I have you to thank. In the case of 2 people who are on the ground, different story. And I understand, believe me, that this place is, master pardon my Orcish, a shithole. But that doesn't mean you can't hold yourself to a better standard. Change starts with the individual, starts with you, starts with me, starts with Aldo, who's going to turn over a new leaf. Right, big guy?
Yeah, so this whole time the conversation's going on and you're talking about all this stuff, right? You guys are not speaking in Orcish at this point, right? You're just speaking in common?
I said it in Orcish when I said the swear word.
But everything else, right?
Important person. Everything else is in common, yeah.
So as you keep saying all this stuff and like all this criminal stuff, like it looks like Brock wants to like almost like butt in and ask, and then Aldo just kind of like catches his eyes, just like shakes his head like like don't even like get involved, right? So Brock's just been sitting to the side, and then you look over at Aldo, who's like staring at you kind of wide-eyed, and it's like, yeah, absolutely, whatever you say.
We can have this discussion later.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, not right in front of the person you just saved.
Sure. But again, as far as you know, I've washed into town, and I'm just the same as anyone else, just from very far away and with a compass that points due north and out the door.
Yep. So the camera cuts from inside this office with Anita and Saruk, and we see Reficule and Halbrand on the stairs, like kind of playing with the dog, who's starting to get a little more stable and is able, if you allow it to sort of stand a little bit on its feet. But Wybird is just sitting there like in like standby mode, and doesn't want to go near Wyvern. But what are you guys doing during this time?
So I'm gonna lean forward, pull out my little pack of cigarettes, and offer one up to Refugule.
I thought you were going to offer it to Annie.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
You like smoking dog? I got lizards in me pockets and Marlboro Reds.
Okay, so Refugule.
I'll take one. Thanks.
Do you? I know they break and make a bunch of shit in this place. Do you think they do any kind of healing stuff instead of fixing stuff in there?
I can't really say about this. Could I get a light? Sorry.
Of course. Here you go. And he'll.
Right. Cheers. This place in particular, I'm not too sure. Haven't spent exactly too much time in temples. I'm not exactly the religious type. Me and the divine don't get along quite that well. But
Maybe not this guy, but you're some kind of zealot.
zealot? What do you mean?
Like fanatic, bloodthirsty, zealot. Like for one reason or another, you're wanting to shoot somebody, whether it's somebody I know or somebody we're going after, or somebody who knows somebody else that we need to see.
I only kill people that need killing.
A zealot. I heard that. Not at Torex, but other places.
Why? Who do you know that needs killing?
Nobody. Especially not this dog. That damn rodent almost killed this thing. Does it do that all the time?
Actually, it's quite surprising. Haven't seen Wybert that effective, actually, before. quite a good job, eh, Birdie? And I give a slap to the robot.
She, your friend, Anita.
I think when you slap it, like, it malfunctions a little bit, and its little, like, hand just, a saw blade bounces out for just a second.
I instinctively, without even, like, looking, because I know, like, I can hear it, and I've been around enough, I just, like, lean out of the way real quick.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, it just kind of goes straight ahead. It's not trying to swing, it's just, like, melting. And, like, the blade spins for a second. Sorry, go ahead.
She been working on it a lot lately. I mean, I imagine she works on it all the time. But she must be getting much better, because if that robot would have hit that man that Saruk hit first, that robot would have killed that man. I don't really care about the man. I'm just more worried about the pup. That's why I said, hey, don't kill the pup.
Fair enough, but why do you seem so interested about Anita?
No, I'm not interested about Anita. I'm just interested about a robot. Like, is it like some death machine that walks around and chops people's heads off, or just dogs?
I look over at Wybert. Oh yeah, he's a fearsome killer.
All right.
Can't you tell?
Well, from what I've seen so far, yeah, it looks like it.
I think your doggo will be fine.
Oh, you're gonna be all right. I just want to take him in there after we get our money and see if I can heal her up a little bit.
How you spend your gold whiskers is none of my business.
So I think this would be an interesting question for you guys to maybe mull over here while the other things going on, right? You guys were hired for this job by Hagos, right? The way the structure works is Hagos gets word of a bounty. Either someone approaches him, he has contacts, he knows there's a bounty on this person. He facilitates the bounty to you guys, and then when the bounty is turned back into him, he passes the bounty back for his payday and pays you guys and takes a cut for himself, right? So in this situation, you're kind of cutting Hagos out. How would that conversation, like, maybe your brain goes there, right? Like, what's the next step, right? Are you even going to go back and what are you guys going to tell him, etc., right?
Out of character, I feel like that's a Saruk will deal with as the situation crops up kind of thing.
Okay, yeah. I was curious.
Refugule will burn that bridge when we get to it.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the approach that Refugule takes. I was just curious where your brains were about that sort of situation.
So, the rumor's true. Did you gun down the shield marshal?
You ever hear of a duel, Whiskers?
Of course.
In a duel, two people face off and one of them ends up dead, right?
It's usually how it works at high noon.
Even at late noon. But, maybe you should believe. Maybe you should only believe half of what you hear.
I mean, since it's the rumors about you, that's why I'm asking you.
Well, why don't you ask your friend, Miss Angelique Lovelace? I'm sure she'll tell you all about it.
I want to hear it from you. You were there.
Like I said, I only kill people that need killing.
Fair enough. And
I
he
think
kills
now-
the dogs or the innocent bystanders.
Now's probably a good dramatic moment for the Anita and Saruk to sort of come out at the tail end of this conversation. You can keep going, but they come into the scene.
In which case, I just go sit down on the stairs, like close but not on top of, and begin counting out and divvying up 4 ways 10 gold.
Are you able to control the robot like Anita here is? I don't want to confuse her with my pup.
Nah, Wybert's all her creation.
All right. And I'll look over at Saruk canning out, and then I'll just walk over and hold out my hand.
And it is. I think
2 gold,
that.
5 silver, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 gold, 4.
Gold,
Damn it,
4
Anita.
silver.
You took a silver out of a buck.
Because it's like 20 silver pieces, right?
10
by-
gold
Oh,
would be...
I said 5. I added you.
Right, so 10 gold would be 100
Sorry, I was
silver,
looking at the screen. I saw 5.
which would be 20
you're right,
silver
5.
a person, which is 2... No? wait.
20,
Math is
yeah.
hard.
2 gold, 5 people.
I'm dividing by 5.
2
It's
gold, 5
silver.
silver.
2 gold and 5.
It's 25
that's what I was-
gold, aka 2 gold, 5 silver.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll take it and look back to him and say, good talking, Reficule. Pardon me. I don't want to make the mistake of getting too close or too far. Be right back.
Sure then,
And I'll walk
Whiskers.
into the temple to see if they can heal my dog.
No.
No.
It's actually not entirely in their wheelhouse to be like medic and
Yep.
healers, but they're trained enough to know how to patch someone up, and they're all combat. I mean, they've been to combat camp, right? So they know how to like patch up wounds.
Cast your damn spell.
Yeah, somebody prepped heal today, right?
Right?
Right.
Well, there's no magic, right? Magic doesn't work
Oh,
that's
right,
right.
God. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
here in Smokeside. At least right now, the winds of the Mana Storm in the temple have, none of you guys have magic, maybe, but essentially we're in one of these tides where magic is malfunctioning right now. I don't know if you guys keep tabs on the weather patterns. There's they literally publish sort of weather patterns, so you guys know when and magic will and won't work here, right? But I don't know if you guys subscribe to that.
Hal definitely will, considering how he got here,
But they will easily patch up your dog non-magical means, right?
yeah, I knowing what I know from living at the gunworks for a little while, I'll be like, all right, one of you know how to patch up my pups. I need to make sure she's raring to go here in a little bit.
They won't ask for direct payment, but they will ask for a donation of 2 silver in order to...
I'll give him 2 silver.
Okay. He's paying back, and then, for over like the next hour or so, they will patch Annie back up to, full health.
Bloody hell, Annie. You got Whiskers all riled up about almost killing that damn pooch.
I have no. It's, sure, I'll take accountability for it. But like I said, Wyber doesn't do that often. That was like a 1 in a million chance.
I haven't seen Wybert do anything like that at all. That was quite
Exactly.
amazing.
No, I know. I mean, I don't want to kill a puppy either. I felt really bad about it.
People get a
I'm
little
also
weird
feeling
with
pretty
animals.
bad about a lot of things right now.
Why? What's there to feel bad about?
Mm,
We just got paid.
I know. No, the thing that we did earlier, I should have, honestly, when you did ask me, I was more focused on the stuff that I could just grab from Ruthie. Right, so when you ask me, my head wasn't really in the right space. Yeah, typically when we're in this situation, I would, talk you down a little bit more. But I just went, go ahead. Which, is something that I'm trying to work.
Annie, what are you talking about? That has nothing to do with you. I shot those people. on my
No,
own,
no,
and
no,
I
don't-
look over towards I like look over towards Saruk.
You did, and you know what? You're the local here, so maybe I should defer to your judgment. Maybe had you not done what you did with all of your forward thinking, I would wake up and there would be someone with a metal gauntlet in my face bludgeoning me to within an inch of my life. And I'm sure you'll show discretion next time, or at least make sure they're still capable of fighting. Won't you?
Sure thing, Tusks.
There's just a slow glare. I flick 2 gold, 5 silver across the stairs to you. There is your small incremental payment for murder. Take your serotonin however you can.
Oh, I don't enjoy it. I just do what needs to be done.
Why do you think that needed to be done?
You ever hear the phrase "an eye for an eye"?
I'm not going to take the obvious bait. I sense the trap you are walking me into, but yes. No, you know what? No, fuck it. What happened to your eye?
Oh, that's just occupational hazard.
Does
I was-
that mean you lost it, or...
No, actually, I was born with it, but
Good. Wait. That means... So I'm getting the sense there's more to you than I can see. Saruk lets it trail off. The look that runs across his face is a combination of, surprise, concern, and, I guess that basically sums it up. We'll roll those all together.
oh well. I'm just full of mysteries. I'm sure you'll find all about them, lawman.
What are you talking about?
I can smell a cop.
Prove it. What do you smell? Other than that woman's perfume, gun smoke, and the grit of Alkenstar.
Self-righteousness.
There's a line between self-righteousness and an aligned moral compass. I don't think I'm any better than anyone else. I just would prefer to live in a better world than the world made by a constant chain of violence which begets violence which ad nauseum.
Well, it seems that the privilege of your birth has allowed you that outlook on life. Some of us have had to live in the world that we've been born into.
Yeah, maybe. I hesitate to say that I am sorry, but you are not wrong.
It's like this sort of moment between you two, and then there's this kind of loud giggling, and it looks like a young couple has spilled onto the streets from one of the nearby bars and are kind of giggling and walking with each other and kissing on each other on the street. It sort of breaks that moment between you guys as they kind of continue into the night with each other, giving you guys a wide berth on the steps of the temple.
They are also trying to get their serotonin however they can.
I think Hal would come out at this point, and he'd still have his extra silver in his hand, and he'd lean into Anita and hold his hand out towards her,
No, I could keep it.
and I'll give her thanks for saving the pup. No, this is for my portion of when Refkill used all your money to get the lead we already had. So
Oh, thank you. So that's 5 more that I should be waiting for?
3, 2 from the other 2. Well, at least 1 from each one.
I thought you said you weren't going to pay her shit. Wait a minute. And as I say that, I pull out a silver and flick it over.
Oh, wow. You know what? This is actually very surprising. When people say they're going to pay me back, at least here, they never do.
I mean, just make sure you work on it to avoid killing little dogs. That'd be great.
Don't worry, we're not going to hurt little Annie, are you? How you feeling, Annie? Are you okay?
I feel I'm going to fucking smack you in the head, you bloody oaf.
Ew.
Oh, I was talking to the dog.
No, I know.
It's a good thing that you weren't shot by Refi, otherwise you would have been struck by a smooth.
And with that sort of punctuation mark, the scene sort of fades to black for a minute. So Now, right? What do you guys do with Hagos? Right? Does anybody go back to Hagos after this? Do you guys just go on, like, hit the road and never return? Like, what happens next as a group? Right? Like, you guys, this is where you guys part ways.
Saruk is definitely going to Hagos first thing to explain, hey, there's a bunch of fucked up complications going on here. Sorry about it. Then from there...
So let's just stop right that. Right, that makes sense. Would anybody else want to go back to Saruk, or with Saruk, or is this a Saruk and Hagos only scene?
Up to you.
Refugee will go where Anita goes to. So
I'm actually very curious on what Hagos is going to do.
I think Hal would probably take the dog back to Aldo's place since he's got a bowl and dog food.
Oh, the dog food. Mm-hmm.
Well, if you remember right, he didn't actually have dog food. It was just that Elsie had poured some of his like bachelor chow slop into a bowl for the pup. But at least there's something.
basically dog food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going back there, run by the Iron Bells. Aldo left all of his shit in the room in which I interrogated him, and including his keys.
But it was picked when you guys got there, right? The door wasn't even locked. But
Right, but I want somebody to go get the keys so I don't have
yeah,
to.
you can go grab the keys if you want. So let's do a quick fade to Hagos's office, right? With it sounds like maybe Anita was tagging along,
Yeah.
and that means
Refi, if you don't mind, do you want to
obviously.
come with?
All right, let's go.
All right, so the camera sort of crossfades from this darkened thing to a dimly lit office, which is also in the Ferris quarter, so not too far. You guys are probably just a few blocks away from his office, right? We see a window with a bright neon sign sort of flickering outside, casting that purple and pinkish light through the blinds and across the face of this stocky, balding Garundi human man, Hagos, the one who set you up with this job in the first place. As he drinks from his ice-filled glass, the clanking of the gears grinding against each other in the building around you. His hairy chest bulges against his slightly too tight shirt, and he sort of wipes his mouth with the back of his hand. And behind him you see shelves of trinkets from all of his long-past jobs, overflowing the space he has set aside for them. He leans back as he puts his feet up on his desk, listening to your guys' story, and I think we come in at the tail end of you guys saying something or explaining, potentially what Saruk would be explaining. So what do we hear at the tail end of your explanations?
So it's all in the hands of the Church of Torag now. You are an upstanding member of the community, and I'm sure you understand that the circumstances around this bounty were incredibly complicated, and it's best that we all just move on. Right, friend? Who is now the subject of one of my leads.
Okay.
Yeah, real quick. Did Saruk just tell him everything? Pretty much?
Yeah, I don't know what is Saruk telling.
Yes. Not everything in terms of what he specifically knows, but the bounty was being extorted. The bounty was less than lawful. We would get in trouble. Hagos would get in trouble. It would be bad for everyone. So let's all just move on, basically.
At this point, hearing Saruk just kind of tell Hagos the truth, like Refugee turns towards Anita to try to get her attention and just mouths like, "What the fuck?"
Just trust the process. Just for this one.
And he just casually leans his hand closer to his gun.
I put a hand on Refi's arm. That's like wrist. I put a hand on Refi's.
Not like he's ready, like he's gonna draw, but like just so that it's closer in case he needs to.
Right.
He's not red alert, he's yellow alert.
Yeah.
Oh no.
No, I still do.
So
Just this one, Refi.
So there's this moment where you're not sure which way it's gonna go, Refi, right? And Hagos like stops, and then he just looks at you guys holding his drink and goes, "That's why I don't pay up front." And he like puts his feet down and glass a little heavy on the desk as he starts laughing. "If I don't get paid, none of us do." And he like
What was
stops.
your cut?
He's like, "Bounty's not for you. The bounty's not for you. It's fine. I just wish you wouldn't have wasted my time with your morals.
I jingle my coin purse. What was your cut?
Doesn't matter. Nothing without the job done. Listen, kid, you think you can work on these streets without my say-so? You break a contract, you're as good as done in this town.
The contract was unlawful in the first place. What's to break?
Fuck the laws. It was a contract. It was a payday.
Again, what was your take?
I was splitting it with you. 50-50. 10 gold for you, 10 gold for me.
I see.
Money out of my pocket. Sort of.
Hand twitches a little bit.
Unfortunately, my savings account does not run that deep. Are we going to have a problem? Or is there any moral decency at the bottom of you at all?
He looks past Saruk towards Refi and Annie or Anita in the back of the room and sort of and do you share his morals? Well, I mean, I guess you do, right? You didn't turn him in. You let him go.
I'm just here, honestly, to make sure that you don't kill him. Or at least that's why I went.
She's not talking to
Unfortunately.
you, by the way.
I just turn back to look at Refi.
Yeah, kind of turns his head. So,
Who else did you tell about the contract?
what do you mean? Nobody. You were my crew. You assured me you could handle this. It should have been
So
I
easy.
believe him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and make
Int-
some closer checks.
Inside check.
And you can give the clue in to your allies, right, Saruk?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to. Are you both rolling? I can only give it to one of you.
Yes, I do want to roll.
You can give it to
Okay.
Anita.
I'm gonna give it to Anita because I like Anita better. But she
Natural
doesn't need it, so it's fine.
The natural
20.
20.
And so Refi was the only one that rolled secret, because, technically it's a secret check. But
Right.
I'll go ahead and just reveal it here because you also hit a natural 20, Refi.
Friendship!
We're really good at Pathfinder.
power
what
of
can I say?
friendship.
The power of friendship!
So,
And crime, but not for me.
in this case, he is telling the truth. You are the only people he gave this job to, and you believe him 100%. All of you. Look, I'm not saying I was the only person facilitating a bounty on his head. I'm just saying, I heard this bounty came down. I pass it along to you. There's other people that might have been doing the same. Who's to say?
I suppose it's in fate's hands now.
Here's a question for you, Steve.
Okay.
And I'm going to leave this up to you.
Okay.
Would Reficule have any reason to be suspicious of who is behind the bounty?
I mean, I don't think you've even asked or cared up to this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would say probably not any idea or clue, right? Yeah, probably not.
I've tried not to bleed into what Richard the player
Yes,
is
yes,
suspicious
no.
about.
Yeah, but Reficule probably would never even have thought or questioned it,
All right.
So
Fair enough.
So you could ask at this point, but
No, that's what I'm saying.
I see.
I was
what you're saying.
debating on whether he should ask, so I wanted
Got it.
your
I
take
don't think
on
he
it
has any
first,
reason
so.
to necessarily ask, right?
Right.
But I mean, you guys are trying to figure out if there's other people on the job, and he's telling you they're not. So the next logical step could be, well, maybe you find the person that gave the job, right? I mean, a
Yeah, I
logical
wanted
step.
to ask that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, Refi was more interested in, he was pissed if this asshole sent another team, double contracted.
Right.
Right? If he's not, then I think he wouldn't care as
Okay.
much.
So he's not by your beliefs.
Okay. But if anyone else is.
Yeah, Saruk
just
on a
have
scale
it-
of 1 to 10 is at 17. We're
Yeah.
going to find them.
Yeah.
I can see it in your eyes. No, I'm not. Listen, what I'm paid for is my discretion. I'm a buffer between those who want jobs done and those who do the jobs. It's how this works. It's why I have a job. I'm not selling out anyone. Just like I
Fair
wouldn't sell
enough.
you out.
All right.
Bit of
Again,
advice.
sus. We've landed in second sus territory. Is he going to sell me out? I'm going to make this go to blind GM roll, so I'm not a big old cheaty face.
Okay. You believe him.
Great! I'm so glad I rolled in private, because I'm not a big old cheaty face.
Right. Bit of advice for you. What's this guy's name again? Agos?
Hagos.
No. Hagos.
Okay.
Hagos. Right. Think real hard about who would be able to place such a bounty, knowing it not to be on the up and up, right? And what they might do to people who have knowledge of what their intentions and business are. So, you look out for us and we'll look out for you.
You're looking for lawful bounties for work that's going to make you feel good at the end of the day. You're in the wrong goddamn place.
Don't remind me.
You guys looking to make a payday? I have much better paying opportunities.
What about, because he had said earlier that, like, we're going to be done in this town for breaking a contract.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, essentially, yeah, okay, I see. Yeah, and so, yeah, he's like, don't, in my book, you all owe me a debt. And where's that old guy?
Taking care of Annie.
She wasn't okay.
She was struck by a smooth criminal.
She was.
He's like, but he does say, like, pretty sure we won't be working together anymore, right? Unless you willing to back pay me what you've taken out of my pocket.
As you said, you don't pay up front, so you never had any gold in your pocket to begin with.
Get the fuck out of
Can't
my
argue
office.
with the logic. The way we go.
Yeah.
Or at least I go.
Yeah.
Hope you don't be seeing us, Mr. Hagos.
Yep. And he just kind of like sits back and kicks his feet up, and he just watches. He's like massaging like his temple and like the sort of hard position you've put him in. It's not so much like, honestly, from his perspective, it's not so much that it's promised, right? It's a bounty. Maybe you succeed, maybe you don't, but like, he's really upset that you had the bounty in your grasp and basically took money out of his pocket, right? And street cred is a big thing in this town, and this might, affect his feelings of you down the road.
Well, we better wait till he goes unconscious and then shoot him to make sure he doesn't plague us later. Am I right?
The camera like pulls out as you guys are standing beneath the neon sign. It's raining now through that like sort of like toxic acid rain through the smog that like normally you might get a nice smell when it first rains from like the plants sort of like opening, but there's not a lot of plants here, so it's a lot of that like smog smoke and the grime washing off the streets and dripping onto your clothing and just making everything smell really horrible. And the camera kind of goes from you guys standing under this bathe light across the town to Halbrand, who did you stop by the Iron Bells to get his stuff?
Probably yes.
Okay.
Specifically, if Tommy asked, yeah.
That's my curious. Tommy or Saruk asked, right? So
Saruk asked.
Did
so
Hal
I
actually
would,
do it?
yeah.
Okay.
If it's on the way back, I would do it.
I'm really trying to
imagine
learn
knowing Hagos, he would probably like be with him, giving him tongue lashing for a while. So Hal would take the stuff back, make sure the dog got something to drink, and then leave all the stuff on the counter in the kitchen, and him and the dog would go for a walk.
So you get like, there's like a little duffel bag with like a couple of outfits of clothes, a sort of holy book, and like a set of keys for his house. So you can take the whole duffel bag or just the keys, it's up to you. But
I would take I think Saruk said take his stuff, and
okay, just kind of clean
I
out
grabbed everything, of course. Yeah, maybe even not the stuff that was his, and I just pile it in the duffel bag, not pairing really.
You're looking around the room, right? And now that you're in here for the first time, you can see that it's actually a pretty nice room. Like, this is probably the nicest room, probably equivalent to like the honeymoon suite, if there was such a thing at this place. It's been run down through time, but like even in the corner, there's like a nice sort of brass bathtub with like hot running water that can fill like here in this room. Like, Aldo definitely has didn't hide out in like the slummiest of slums. He had like a level of standard that he's accustomed to, and even in this sort of like moment, he still went for someplace pretty nice. And you're able to clear out and go back to his apartment if you'd like. And we see like you and little Annie in the as the rain starts kind of coming down.
And then now that the dog can walk, I'll wait for a while, and if they don't come back within like 10 minutes, Hal's going to be like, there's a storm about. I can smell it on the air. Maybe we need to go for a little bit of a run. And as you see in the distance, through the fog and the darkness, kind of a break in the hole in the wall, and you see two hindquarters of canines, one really stark white and another one black and white, one much larger than the other, kind of disappear quickly as they run out into the mana storm, hoping to maybe get home.
Right, so Hal, Brent, and little Annie sort of off into the night, into the storm, and the whole screen kind of gets foggy, and we cut back to like the three of you standing outside of Hagos's office, and time for each one of you to go wherever you're going. And
where will you be staying at, Saruk?
I'm staying at Eldo's. The circumstances are complicated. The shortest version for all of you is if you need me for something other than I let that hang, you can find me there. I will be in town for as long as I need to be in town for. It was a pleasure, Hang, working with both of you.
Likewise. But if you need anything, just look for Kojak. That's usually where we are.
Very well. May Majagua bless you and keep the pair of you. There's a long hang at Reficule as it's like hand on symbol, bow, turn, hand on symbol, deeper bow. And then off we go in that direction.
So we're off into the rainy night, into the shadows, leaving just Annie, or Anita, I guess. We can't say Annie anymore because there's an Annie in the party. So Anita and Reficule standing outside.
Penny for your thoughts, Refi. I can hear you. The rain's about to come in.
Just thinking about tusks.
Yeah?
Quite
What about? What,
It's
like?
quite interesting, the range that those orcs have in their characters.
Oh, no, that's true. But, I mean,
he's so
nice.
uptight and by the book.
It is.
Yeah. Just interesting because completely different from. Never mind.
From?
Just wasn't what I was expecting from an orc.
Oh.
From his orc of his type.
I mean, usually, as much as possible, you try not to have conclusions on people just from what they look like or how they are, or maybe if they've killed a person or two.
I'd like him a lot better if he'd killed a person.
I don't know. I think that maybe he just needs to get used to Alkenstar a little bit more, at least the smoke side. I mean, from an outsider's perspective, it definitely is hard to, understand.
He walked into Hagos' office and then told the bloody man the truth. I had to pick my jaw up off the fucking floor.
That's why I really wanted to go, because I wasn't sure if Hagos was going to bloody kill him.
I mean, I wasn't worried about Saruk. Did you see how he brained that motherfucker?
He did. However, I mean, you have a lot of schlocky people over here.
Yeah.
We don't know who Hagos is. Could have been a schlocky man himself.
He's all talk. I know his type. But
I like him, though.
There's like the rumble of like thunder, like kind of in the horizon, and flashes kind of in the sky above you guys. And like right around now, like there's like this like shield marshal sort of airship kind of like comes down the street with like a spotlight kind of searching through the streets, and you see it kind of coming your way as this like blimp type thing with a big motor fan, sort of like pretty loud, just kind of floats down the street.
I make sure my eye patch is secured, hat down.
All right, well, the night's still young. Do you want to go to Miko or Kojak?
I mean, we've got some gold. Let's try to make some more, shall we?
And we the pair of you sort of having this conversation, like, drifts further away from the camera as you guys go off into the street night, getting further and further away with the rain coming down. And, it kind of like pans up towards the clouds. And I think that's where we fade to black and end tonight's session, at least, of...
I feel like Agos is going to sell us out.
Alkenstar Prequel.
Can't wait. I can't wait to shoot him.
I might be in agreement with you.
Yeah, like I know he's gonna fucking sell us out. I don't know. I have a feeling.
But that's gonna do it for us this week on Alkenstar. Big thanks to Nina, Richard, Rick, and Tommy for playing with me. It was an honor. It's been fun, and honestly, I feel like I know your characters a lot better now at the end of this session than I did at the start of it. A lot of
for better or for worse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. At this point, I just
That's
also wanted to give
character arcs are for.
a huge shout out to our Patreon supporters, especially David Sims.
Thank you, David.
Let's give
See you this Saturday.
Yeah, we're playing with David this Saturday, so give us a look at patreon.com/recallknowledge. Yeah, I mean, we already gave you the pitch earlier. Big thanks, Molten Hosting, Rollsmith. Well, Molten Hosting providing our server hosting, Rollsmith for providing the awesome dice that we used tonight. Go give them a look at moltenhosting.com and use the code RecallKnowledge.
One word.
There we go. At checkout for your first month for free. Check them out at moltenhosting.com. Any other shout outs or anything you guys would like to say or give out for the people?
Yeah, I'd like to say follow DM Steve on his Twitter, as he will be DMing some beginner box game for beginner box day here in a couple of weeks.
That is true.
Yes.
Very awesome. And some other stuff that he might be doing. So
I'm definitely running
sure to give him a follow.
Box. I don't know if we're streaming it, possibly. However, there might be more secret projects coming that way, so keep your eyes open and you might see some cool stuff coming down.
Peeled.
Yeah, so definitely follow me on Twitter so you can see when it's announced. Thank you for that, Rick. That's it? No other shoutouts? All right, that's easy.
I just this has been a very good session of Pathfinder. This has been a very good session of the roleplay was good, the tense was good. I crit 2 people back to back and ended the combat in 2 rounds.
The combat you guys made look like a cakewalk, man.
I knew I loved the investigator, and I'm pretty sure that's my favorite class in 2nd edition because it can do that.
I know, that's insane.
So awesome.
So
next week, we will be off. We will not be streaming next week on the 13th. I will be on vacation, a much needed, much delayed COVID vacation.
Indeed.
So thank you. I will not be here next week. I don't know if the channel's streaming anything. Probably not. But we will be back on Wednesday, April 20th at 7 o'clock Pacific to conclude this segment on our journey to becoming outlaws. Come back and find out how our group actually ends up as outlaws. We have one session to get there, and I'll be honest, I'm kind of planning something that is a little crazy, and we'll see if it works. I don't know.
How does Rafficuel become an outlaw? It's such a mystery.
More of an outlaw than he already is. How?
How do you increase your wanted level?
He is an outstanding citizen of Alkenstar.
Yeah, he's a perfect example.
Once we're done with that next week, the immediately week after, on April 27th, we will be launching Outlaws of Alkenstar using that awesome premium Foundry module from Paizo directly. It's going to be sweet. Yeah, I can't wait to show it off. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and goodbye.